Hello and welcome to the regular Friday edition of Spurs Diehards Tottenham Till I Die. Tonight I have three guests with me at the moment. I have co-host Ellie, I have mod Mark, I have debutant Mark Cook. We are expecting more guests to show up, due to working hours and things like that.
They're having a cup of tea.
Yeah, they'll turn up in due course. But we've got a fair few things to discuss, and we always end the show with a fun section. So I'll start by giving you some latest info. I mean, there was a hastily arranged friendly yesterday, and against the Japanese young 11, and Spurs won 5-2. And Mikey Moore scored 2 goals. Oh, I love this guy. I really love him. Lancashire got another 2. He can't stop scoring goals. And at last, Elogi Velez got a goal. Yes. So, I'll start with Mark Cook here. Ask him what he knows about those players, what he's hoping to see from them. Mark, what's your take on those players? If you've seen anything, let us know.
Well, I think Velez we've got to see a lot more of. I believe he needs more minutes than what he's getting. If he's not going to get the minutes, he's got to go out on loan. I think as far as Lancashire is concerned, it's a point of if he can make that step from where he is now, because it's a big step to come up into the Prem. So, but who knows? He just could be one of those naturals. Gets a chance, bang, scores a couple of goals, and off he goes. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, because we've got the rumours of all these big players coming in, but whether they come or not is a different story. It's a different subject.
We had the same situation with Kane. I mean, Sherwood gave him his debut, and Kane had loads of loans, and he didn't impress at all, did he? On his loan. Yeah. So that's Lancashire. What's your take on Mikey Moore?
He's got so much skill, so much tenacity. He's one of them that you really hope's gonna get the chance to make it. I really hope that we do tie him down and he doesn't go out and get bought by a Man United or whatever for 10 million and he's gone. I truly hope he stays, because I think he could be something special. He's showing it, but obviously, again, he's got a long way to go. There's a big gap to go between under 16s, under 18s, 21s and Premier. But he seems like he's got a lot of talent, Adrian.
He's 17 on August the 11th. And he can't go on loan because he's not 18, so that's a good thing. But we did have people. There were clubs hovering around, but he's happy at Spurs, and he'll get his. I think when they come into the club, when they're 16, you can give them a 2-year scholarship with a 1-year professional contract. But I think that's it. I stand to be corrected if anybody says different at a later stage. And so, I'm in agreement. Mark, your take on Mikey Moore, Will Lancashire, and Velez?
First of all, big up to Peter in the chat. This is the man that never sleeps. 5 a.m. in Melbourne. I swear. I swear. Like every stream I watch, he's in the comments. And he's, what's it now, 8? That's 8, 5. That's 9 hours in front of us. Like, I swear this man never sleeps.
He's Greek like me, that's why. We don't sleep, us Greeks. Got too much on our minds.
Well, all these youngsters and that, it's a wait and see game, isn't it? To be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, they might be brilliant. They might not be. It really, I mean, I don't know nothing about any of them. But obviously the game, was it yesterday, the game? It wasn't even on anywhere, was it? It was like a behind closed doors thing.
Yeah, behind closed doors, yeah.
Ellie, your take on you're like me, you watch quite a few.
Just one thing. I'm sorry, Peter. I forgot you were a paramedic. Big up to you. Big up to you for being a paramedic.
Your job, mate. Ellie, your take on Mikey Moore, Will Lancashire? I know you're like me or Villiers. I mean, I watch all the other 21
they're all talented in their own right in different ways. Belize is very physical. He's a unit, isn't he? He's like 6'3", 6'4". Bit of a he's a man before his time, isn't he? In terms of his size, but he can get about a bit. He's got something about him. You know, I liked his movement. I like his energy. You know, he wants to do well. He wants to impress. That's very good. Whether he gets the chance to impress in the first team, that remains to be seen. Same with the other two guys, but I think Mikey Moore, he stands out because, like you said, Adrian, in your evaluation of him the other day, he's just an exceptional talent. You can see that the boy's got it. He's got everything. He's got the touch. He's got the movement. He knows what to do with the ball. You know, he's not lost for, you know, some footballers, when you pass them the ball, it's like a hot cake. Him, it sticks, right? So he's part of, like what Glenn Hoddle said, it's the ball's part of his body. Yeah. So the boy's got it. So Lancashire's different. He's a very talented boy in his own right. He knows where the goal is. He knows how to score. It's a bit like Kane in a way. He's got that je ne sais quoi in front of goal. You know he's not going to miss, right? And they're both talented boys in their own right. But I think Mikey Moore, out of the three, he stands out as the greatest footballer and the greatest awareness. So I'm really excited. If one of them makes it, I'm excited for any of them, but I'd like Mikey Moore because the boy's just got it. There's something about him. He's built as well. He's got that low sense of gravity, you know, and he's just it's exciting to watch. It's nice to see a footballer at Spurs like that again. The last time we had it, well, we've had quite a few, haven't we, really? But we've had like Gaza. He reminds me of a cross between Gaza and Modric. He's a bit like that, you know, he's a cross between them both. And all hail Mikey Moore because he's going to be a massive star. And I just hope it's for us, Adrian, and nobody else.
Well, Lancashire was at Arsenal, and then he went to Sheffield United.
Yes,
and we paid either £2 or £3 million from when he was 17. And that was before I think we'd actually broke the wage structure at the academy, because the season before last, our academy was not the under 17s and 18s, but they nearly got relegated. And this year, well, I've watched all the games. I mean, they're the best crop of youngsters I've ever seen at the club, the best crop. And they will. I'm confident they'll all have good careers. Whether it's at Spurs, not another matter, because it's to squeeze them all in. It'd be lovely if we could beat Man United's class of '92. They had 6, didn't they? You had the two Neville brothers. You had Giggs on one wing and Beckham on the other, and then you could have Scholes and Butt in the middle, couldn't you? You know, and Aaron Hansen said you can't win nothing with kids, but
yeah, I remember that.
I'm hoping we're going to freak.
These words, wasn't
Let me just say, big up to Leo. Big up to Leo, Phil, boys, and Peter. Don't work too hard.
Leo.
Yes. Hello, Leo.
Boys, woo.
I'm confident they'll do well.
Boys has agreed to come on the show. Anyway, he will come on the show.
Now let's talk about Jed Spence, or the redemption of Jed Spence, and I'll come to Mark first. But first, I'll give you a bit of info. After they finished training, get this, yesterday, Spence was doing one-on-one drills with head coach Matty Wells. Matty Wells used to play for us after training. I mean, you wouldn't have thought this, would you? After he, like, Warnock sent him away from Middlesbrough to Forest. From Forest, he comes to us. From us, we send him to Leeds. Then he goes to Genoa. Now he comes back to us. Something's happened. I mean, words have been spoken, obviously. Mark, do you see Spence saving us a fortune in a transfer window?
Which Mark?
Mark Cook.
Ah,
Sorry, that's my fault.
I'm lucky there's not two Ellies about.
Yeah.
It's only one.
Well, we had-
there's only one, Ellie.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
is.
there's only one, Ellie. One. Jed Spence. He's the cat's lives are being used up, Adrian.
Yeah.
Whether you're right or not, and the boss has had a word with him and said, "Look, you're in your last chance now. This is how it's going to be, and you got to crack on." I don't know if it works out for him. Good luck, good luck to him if it works out for him. He's got something.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to watch the friendlies? He was man of the match away to Hearts. I would have given him second man of the match at QPR because although they provided a stiffer opposition, I thought Alfie Devine was superb second half. I thought he was really good. I really like this player as well, right? But so he was good. And a telling fact, Mark, is like when the team left to go to Japan, they took Emerson with them as if like, well, if someone buys him, he goes. If not, we keep him sort of attitude. Yeah. But Gill was left behind and Reguilon was left behind, but Spence wasn't. So that's pretty telling in my view of what Angie's thinking. If you really didn't think he had a future or could turn him around, I don't think he would have took him out of Japan and Korea. What do you think?
I don't know if it could work both ways, Adrian, whether you want to see him on the pitch over in Japan. Do you know what I mean? But I get where you're coming from with that part of it. So he's working on stuff. Listen, like I said, I hope it works out for him. You can see he's got something, but whether it's good enough to fit into the style that Ange wants to play is a different matter or not. When he was at Leeds, he was getting up and down. Genoa, he was getting up and down. So maybe they're thinking he'd be a backup for Porro. I don't know, rather than going out and buying someone. So,
on the backup to Porro, that I think then, don't you think that will determine that Archie Gray is going to be playing midfield in some position there, whether it's a 6 and 8, box to box 8 or whatever? Then, rather if Spence stays, I think that definitely determines Archie Gray's position in the team. Yeah,
I'm sure it is, and then. It can work as well, like the injuries we had last season. If that just happened at right back with Porro and then Spence, that Archie Gray can slot in there if he needs to, because he's played there before. So it's another option at right back as well.
Right, Mark, you thinking the same about Spence? Then he's got a future.
Yeah. As I said on the last show, I think Spence's confidence was shook when he turned up and what's his name said, he's a club signing. I didn't want him.
Conte.
Yeah, Conte. I'm a bit stupid.
You've forgotten him already, Mark. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I've all forgotten
him. He's past history.
Yeah. But like it's gonna, he was sort of like, I didn't want him, and he was sent out on loan immediately. That's bound to like knock you, isn't it? I mean, to be honest, when he was at Forest, he was like ripping teams apart. He did level well against Arsenal in the cup, and when they played, and all through that cup run, he was. I can understand why we bought him, but then as soon as he turned up, like, I don't want him, and he was.
His skill set is in question. Ellie, your take on Spence?
No.
Yeah, he's got a new lease of life, it looks like, and he's gone for it. He's like taking it with both feet, because the tackles he was doing against QPR in that second half and the blocks he was putting in, the boy wants to be at Spurs. He wants to carve out a career and prove himself. Because when you think about it, everybody deserves a second chance or a third or fourth in his case, because he's been put out on loan, like Mark rightly says that Conte didn't want him, would have knocked his confidence to 6. And he's a bit of a lad as well. We know that. He can speak up for himself. But I like that in a player. I don't like little sheep. I like players who stick up for themselves and fight for what they need. And I think maybe he's grown up a bit, Adrian. Because, you guys, you're about 10 years behind women anyway in terms of growth. It's true, right? I mean, I grew up with 7 boys, so I should know by now, right? But yeah, I just feel like he's got a point of proof, right? And he's proving it against. I know it's against Hearts and QPR, not exactly the be all and end all of football, are they? But he impressed, right? And what I like about it is that he's trying hard, the boy, because he's probably seen this as his last chance saloon. Otherwise, going to Genoa, who, you know, no disrespect to Genoa, but they're not exactly a brilliant team in Italy, are they? But Spurs, we've got a name for ourselves. And if he can carve out a career, be it a substitute for Porro, or be it that they're going to have different plans for Porro, and they'll play Jed Spence in that position. Because Porro, we know when that final third, he's magic, right? And he's wasted really as a right wing back inverted, you know. So maybe Postecoglou has got woken up to the fact that, you know, he can tweak things, and maybe, you know, Danny may be watching this, hopefully. You know, I think he's thinking, right, I've got a knuckle down, and with that training with the coach, it's a good sign, isn't it? Really is.
Yeah, I don't question his skill set. It's his attitude, lateness for training, blah blah. Even Basuma done this beginning of this season as well. Andrew's had to work with him. He's not going to have it. You know, you can't let a player get away with a poor attitude. You just cannot afford to do it. It's been too cushy for Spurs players. You know, millionaire lifestyle and luxurious surroundings. You know, I mean, it's been a bit too cushy. And now we've got rid of most of Deadwood, and there's still a few to go. And I think Spence today they had him doing later drills, defending crosses and things like that. So maybe they think he's got a bit of a weakness in the air. Can't question him going forward. And like you mentioned on Porro, I mean, with Porro, with me, I've always seen Porro as he's improved dramatically, because I was quite critical of him when he first came to Spurs. The defending against Newcastle, Leicester and all that was awful. But he has improved enormously. He's got a great skill set. Technically, he's superb. I see him more as an 8 or more of a midfielder, because then you could take if you've got a Spence behind him and used him as a midfielder. People said him as a winger. He's not a winger. He doesn't look. He doesn't. You know, he doesn't look like a winger. You know, he gets forward. You know, as a dynamic midfielder more, and I think he had the second most assists last season as well, which was good. Right. So, yeah. I mean, yeah. I hope Spence stays. I mean, I think he will. He will be staying now. Because, look, we've got nothing to lose by keeping him for a season. He's under contract. If he goes backwards, he'll be out the door January or the following season. So we don't lose out of it. All we do is lose another season's wages on him.
Yeah.
Right. On that hastily arranged friendly, guys, I'll come to Mark Cook first again. Do you think now, in the next game, I mean, we're going to start to see more of the senior players play longer minutes, Mark? Do you think Ange's now going to put his foot on the accelerator, or do you think he'll leave it for the last couple of games against Bayern Munich?
I think he'll leave it for Munich, Adrian, personally. I think he'll just maybe rotate some of the younger ones in, play what senior ones he can play. I think if he's got maybe 2 or 3 senior players in there, 3 or 4 senior players, then he can juggle about with the youths. I don't know if he'll go down that route of swapping everyone at 60 minutes. Maybe he will. Just fitness is key now, I think, more than anything, Adrian.
Yeah. Mark, it appears to me, it seems that because this was a young Japanese side, this hastily arranged friendly, that he wanted to have more of a look. I mean, I don't know the teams, but I'm assuming we put out a very young side. And I think it's because he wanted to still have another look, a good look at some of these youngsters still. He probably likes them, but like he's still looking for things in them, yeah? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't blame him, to be honest, because, I mean, let's face it, I mean, the teams we've played, they aren't going to be, or they certainly weren't, like what we're going to face against Leicester in the first game. But you've got to see what these kids can do. So like I said, they're all unproven. All of them. You know, all right, you said you watch your under-21s a lot, you know, but you know, even that's a major step down from the Premier League. So, you know, I mean, when's people like Van de Ven and that back? Because obviously, well, England knocked Holland out of the Euros.
On that, now there's two contrasting stories with Dragerson. Either he's back for the game tomorrow against Vissel Kobe, or he's back for Team K in Korea.
Yeah.
So BDV and Romero are probably still on their break.
Well, they will be.
Yeah. So I think you'll see. So either Dragerson will play tomorrow if he's back, probably, or play.
What about Van de Ven?
Yeah, he should be. He should be virtually.
Yeah, that's got to be close.
I've not seen nothing on it, but he maybe he's back because the Dutch went out before us, didn't they, in the competition? So if he was away for a couple of weeks,
yeah,
you know.
Well, and to be honest, he didn't even. Well, he very last few minutes, wasn't it? He got on the pitch in most games, even if he come on. I didn't watch all Holland's games, I will admit.
Yeah, and I mean, unless they squeeze any more friendlies, you'd want them back, the squad back, really, like Mark alluded to, for the two Bayern Munich games at least. Last time, the Bayern Munich at the stadium, Spurs Stadium, it's Saturday before kickoff. You know, the season starts a week later. So,
and I heard Harry Kane's not even available, is he?
No, he's not for the first game. I don't know if he's available for the game at the stadium, at Spurs Stadium. I'm not going. I'm not planning to go and watch a friendly. Definitely not.
Look, I could have got tickets, but no. Right.
So tomorrow's lineup then, Mark Cook, I'm coming to. I'll always come to the guests first, Mark. Right? If I get you too confused, right?
Yeah.
As he played youngsters today, I mean, surely he's going to play more senior players tomorrow, I would have thought. I mean, like,
I think it's a difficult age, and I think he's just going to mix it. He'll mix it up. Like I say, I think there'll be 4 or 5 seniors, and then you'll have more of them fringe players. Then at and then a couple of youth players, and he may well swap the youth players round at half time, obviously, and make 4 or 5 changes. But I can't see him. I might be totally wrong, but I can't see him changing the whole team at half time tomorrow. Just can't see him doing it. But it depends how far forward they are in their preparation for the season, I suppose. And like Mark says, with Van de Ven and Romero not being back yet, that's your 2 in the middle that are missing. And then we've only got, 2-3 games after that? Is it 2 games at...
Yeah, we play Team K All-Stars, so it'd be a mixture in Korea after the Japanese game tomorrow, and then we've got the 2 games against Bam. So we've got 4, including tomorrow's game.
Yeah.
Unless they squeeze another one in, which wouldn't surprise me if Ange does that. Yeah. But you like to see... What's your take on the fact that in the friendly against QPR and Hearts away, he played Gray at centre-back with Skip, and yet Ashley Phillips was left on the bench. I mean, I found that a bit odd, actually, but Skip played well. I've got to be honest. He's played well when I've seen him so far.
Are you still with me, Adrian?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Should we say Mark C and Mark?
That's good. The skip thing, I don't get the skip thing at centre back, Adrian. I don't get that at all.
I don't either.
My head was going round in circles on that one. So I don't know if he'd be on the bench if he wasn't 100% fit. I'm sure he would, as fit as he can be. And I can't understand why he didn't play or why he didn't start. So I don't know. Actually, a week later, my head's still going round with that one. I don't get it.
But... Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us I think Mark Cousins here. Did that have you thinking like why Skip and Ashley Phillips, 6'4", scored the goal against Hearts from a cross by Bergvall, found himself on the right wing after Dane Scarlett. Keeper made a brilliant save and pushed it away, but Phillips coming on a far post and scored, didn't he? So I
can't understand that because I get regular updates because my sort of son-in-law supports Plymouth and he told me he did all right last year. Obviously, I don't watch a lot of Plymouth, but like my daughter lives in Plymouth, and her bloke's like a massive Plymouth fan, and he told me that both of them that went there did like well. I'm not sure. Well, I don't know whether he did do well, but the reports I had said he did all right. So I can't understand why he never played. I mean, you think, what do we have? Skip and the young'un. Skip and Gray is a centre back. Well, neither of them are centre backs. So it makes really no sense whatsoever. Maybe he's got a little injury or something.
Your take on that pairing? I found it odd. I got Ellie.
It's a bit odd. But sometimes odd pairings work, right? Because look, we've had quite a few odd pairings at Spurs up front, but you know what? It's experimental at the moment, and we can afford it because we're trying new things and trying to see what combinations are best. So at the end of the day, you know, Postecoglou needs to work out who's going to cut the mustard and who isn't. And he's looking for a certain type of player who can move the ball quickly, who's very intelligent and, you know, has got his whereabouts when it comes to positional play as well. You know, so because, you know, last season when Postecoglou said, I need a remote control, you know what he was alluding to? Because a lot of players were out of position. Right, and in his system, you have to be disciplined. That's one thing he's looking for: discipline, right, and focus, right. And you need that up front, midfield, and defence. Sorry. So whatever combinations you play, they can work. You know. So I just feel like it's an experimental thing now, and he's looking for more things to add to the 11 that he thinks he's starting 11. Because I'm sure he's got a really good inkling who he thinks going to break through and who he thinks not quite ready yet, you know. So he's looking for certain things. So let's see what happens. If that is the combination and it bears fruit for us, oh, come on, you Spurs, isn't it? Because we need some pairings to score goals, and we need pairings that can defend well, and we need a pairing in midfield that can cook for us. Because we weren't cooking from the midfield. And as you say, Adrian, a lot of the time, the midfield is the engine. I played in midfield and I know what you mean. They're the creative juices. They're the ones who are going to track back and kill themselves to benefit the team as a whole. So I'm just happy that Postecoglou has got his eye on the ball, because a lot of people think he's got his eye off the ball, right? And I'm just thinking, this manager might be the one that's going to lead us to glory days again. And I just pray that he is the one that can, you know, he doesn't get chopped when maybe if we don't have a good start to the season, you don't know how it's going to pan out. But I'm really hoping that Postecoglou can prove them all wrong, because he's done it in the past at every club he's been. I know the Premiership's different because it's a lot tougher and there's a lot better teams in here, but he's got to prove himself now. And if he can prove himself with doing these combinations and seeing what works, all very well, it bodes well for Spurs, doesn't it?
Just one question from the chat, Ali. Is from David Shear, big up Cobber. Is that a new cap?
Yeah, it is, right? But it's an old new cap, and my husband's come and brought me some sweets, isn't he, dear? He thinks Ellie needs sweetening up, doesn't he? Yeah, he's a welcome our stream.
Welcome, Soren, to the show. Good evening, Soren. We're talking about pre-season and some of the performances, but I'm sure you've talked about this before. So we'll move on. I'm going to throw the Dragerton at you. He may be back tomorrow. He may be back for the Team K game. Surely he has to be given a run out, yeah? If he is.
Yeah. I think Angel have seen what he's done, and will know exactly. I mean, the thing is, though, when you've got Romero in front of him, how do you drop Romero? I mean, he'll probably start the first game or two, maybe. Certainly have some games in pre-season now, won't he? So
yeah. That's what I'm thinking about pre-season now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'll certainly be interesting to see him play now. I mean, I think a lot of us have been waiting for those games where we can actually watch him properly in his proper position rather than playing on the left side. So he certainly looked impressive, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, did you watch Mark Cook below? Did you watch a lot of Dragusin in the Euros for Romania?
Bits and pieces, Adrian. I like him, to be honest. I think he looks the part. What we've seen of him. He's not as quick, obviously, as
VDV.
But if I don't know if it'll work out if they play like that. If Van der Ven was missing, even though Dragusin's a right centre back, is it possible that he could still play with Romero?
He has played on the right hand side for us, isn't he? I'm sure he has. Yeah.
Yeah, he's played left with Romero.
Yeah. So I like him though. I think he's it's really difficult to say, isn't it? Does he improve us by coming in as playing if we were playing with a three? I don't know, 3 centre backs across and the 2 either side. Because I don't see that he'll get in front of Romero and Van der Ven if it's just a pick between the 3 of them.
I think this is an area which just ruffles me a little bit when they start talking about 3 at the back and things like that. It's as if when people say, "Oh, Spurs first 11," we shouldn't be thinking first 11. Not now. We're going to be playing 10 more games this season. We're going to play a minimum of 48, and that's if we go all the cup competitions first, including Europa League. So you could have two teams of 11 and guarantee those players 24 games each, right? That won't happen because injury, suspension, and who's in form and who's not in form, blah blah, whatever. So we know that's going to happen. So I think of the squad as 18. I mean, I'm looking for a first team of 18, probably like City. I mean, you're not going to keep 25 super, internationals happy at a club. If at least 5 of them are not even going to make the match day squad because you can only have 9 on the subs bench. So I'm looking at 5 subs, concussion subs, 6. That's with 11 on the pitch. That's 17, and probably another one spare. So I'm looking for a squad of 18. I don't think of it as an 11, and to me, Dragusin is part of that 18 as far as I'm concerned. Definitely. He looks quality. Soren?
Yeah. I think for me, we're probably going to see him in Europe. I think we'll see him in Europe. It wouldn't surprise me if Romero and Van der Ven maybe have been told you will not play every game, especially the early ones in Europe or not conference, the other cup, Carabao Cup. So I think we'll certainly see him. He'll get games, but whether it's as much as he's going to want, I just don't know. That's the problem. But yeah, I think he'll certainly play in Europe. I don't think he'll get a start in the Prem unless Romero's injured or suspended.
Interesting. Mark?
Unless it's the left-hand side, unless there's an injury somewhere.
Mark, your take on Dragusin and his playing chances, game time? Mark
Me?
Cousins. Yeah.
Oh, me?
Well, we've got 2 Marks on here. Sorry,
I've been looking at my phone. What was the question?
I said Dragusin's game chances, though we've got VDV and Romero.
Yeah. Well, he was fantastic for Romania. There was certainly one game he was man of the match. I forget which one. I can't remember what happened yesterday.
He won the league.
No, but he certainly did hell of a well for Romania. I'd like to say, as soon as he turned up and he wasn't playing, his agent started spouting things off in the press. I'd like to see him. I don't know why we don't play 3 at the back, to be honest. Dan has just said in the comment above.
Yeah, I know. It's a question if you favour that three at the back, isn't it? I'm not a fan, but Dan is, obviously. I don't know. What are you a favourite of the three at the back, Ellie, or not?
I like it because it allows the two wide defenders to get forward and they've got a solid back three. Where we left ourselves exposed last year is we only had one at the back. That was Van de Ven. You know, because all the rest of them were like ill-disciplined, even Romero, because he's not so much ill-disciplined. He likes to get forward, Romero. He likes to take the ball on. It takes an eternity sometimes to pass the ball, but when he does pass it, he doesn't usually waste it. He's pretty good at passing from the back. But I am a fan of it, three at the back. I like it. As long as the two wingers can score goals for us as well, because we've got two wingers who can't score. And like we've got two wingers in the wings who can't score either, Solomon and Werner. So what are we going to do? We need wingers who can score so that back three, it reaps dividends. Because, like you said, Adrian, I know I'm alluding to what you say a lot because you're the historian of our campaign, right? And you know your stuff. You know what you're talking about when it comes to how many goals you need to score to win the league. And if we're going to compete, right? I know I've gone off subject a bit about the defence, but
that's all right.
Well, you defend from the front anyway. So I just think that back three, if it's a solid back three, it's like having a back five anyway. Because Dragushin, if he's one of those three, right, it won't be that bad. And if they push Porro forward, I can't see Jed Spence going over right wing back over Porro, actually, but I think he'll get a chance because, like you said, there's loads of games, and if it's a combination of them all, and they know each other's game and they're really solid and they drill them, I think it can reap dividends because they're all brilliant defenders. We've seen it.
That's interesting. Soren, are you a fan of a back three?
I'm going to be a bit controversial. Well, not controversial, but let's not forget. I know it's a different team.
Last year and the year before. I'm not, and I'll come to mine. I was giving my take. I'm not a fan of it, right? But go on.
Let's just put it this way. The year before and the year before when we had Conte, everybody was screaming to go to a back four instead of a back three. Now we've got a back four, we want to go back to a back three. I wish people had met their minds up. You know, it's... Look, if Ange's going to play a back four, we're going to play a back four. If Ange wants to play a back three, we'll play a back three. Do I prefer it? It's not going to make that much of a difference if we got a number 6. Will it allow our wing backs to go forward more? No, because they already bloody go forward more. So, you know, I mean, to me, it would be slightly better if our wing backs maybe went forward one at a time instead of both of them. And that left 3 defenders at the back instead of a back 3 midfield, back 3 defenders. Would it allow us to get Dragusin on the pitch? Yeah, it would. Would we be more solid? Who knows? Because if Romero's still going to go forward, the wing backs are going forward. What's to say Dragusin doesn't go forward or Van der Ven? We don't know how it will work under an Ange system. That's the problem. Should he try it now and again? Yeah, probably. But I think I'd rather see his system if that's how he believes in it, and we've got to trust that he's going to come right. You know, I mean, it's one of those. If we go to a back 3, everybody will scream we want a back 2, a back 4. Yeah. You know, this is the problem that we had that sort of manager that wanted a back 3. He played a back 3, and I mean me as well. You know, and everybody's screaming to go to a back 4. And now we've gone to a back 4. Everybody's screaming to go to a back 3. So, you know, you can't win. It doesn't matter what we do. There are going to be people out there that are not going to like it.
Mark Cook, are you a fan of the back 3? I mean, all systems work and they all fail. They all work well and they all fail. It's just to call them what's your flavour, really. You know? Yeah,
I'm a bit with Dan with this. I'd rather see... If we've got 3 proper centre backs, obviously, like Soren says, they can't play every game. But at the moment, all we've seen last season is one way of playing. It didn't
Just
matter
say,
if we had
Dan,
injuries.
you were screaming for a back four, so let's not go there.
Excuse me. But I am a fan of it as long as we've got the right players to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
The three are not going to play every week. So for me, there's another example of why can't Phillips get integrated in? So there's a 4. So if one's not available, one needs a rest. There's another one there. You know what I mean? To carry on playing that system. Or can he be flexible enough to play 15 days now, but to play a 3 at the back at times against teams, you know, that would be susceptible to that? I don't know. It just seems he's got one way of playing at the moment, and I can't see how that's going to change. But hopefully he'll surprise us in a couple of weeks' time.
Can I just say with Alex and Dan? No, we're not talking about last season under Ange. We're talking about when we had Conte. And you were, because I was on the stream with you, Dan, and we were both agreeing to go to a back 4. So just remember that. I'm not talking about last year under Ange. I'm talking about the year before under Conte.
Well, my take on it, I mean, I'm not a fan. Like I say, but all systems work and fail. Like you say, if you've got the players for the system, they all work and fail. The reason I don't like a back 3, it's the wing back situation. I just like the 4 because we can have the extra man in midfield. I like any system with a back 4, to be honest with you, because if ever we needed an extra body in midfield, it's us. Last season, our midfield was pants. And I don't see our wing backs in our system, even though we could play it, right, are going to help us contribute that many more goals because our forward line's pants as well, right? And it is. I mean, no, it's true. Yeah. I mean, like, so if you're going to have a wing back system, you need a good front 3, right, to be able to feed off the crosses coming the ball. And Porrent's excellent at assists to doing it. Your doggy can do it as well, but unfortunately, we've only got one striker in the squad, in my opinion, and that's Son. And at the moment, and so a back 5 to me, I mean, I just think we would go backwards. But that's only my opinion. I mean, like, all systems work and fail, right?
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that one, Adrian, because this is what we were saying before when we were screaming for a back 4. We then have to take that. You know, we were saying we needed that extra person in midfield, and that was what we was lacking under Conte, playing 2 in midfield. We were getting overrun all the time.
Yeah. Let's move on to our new signing. I posted loads of video of this kid. I also posted a longer video, really, because I post everywhere in loads of groups and WhatsApps and all that shit. So Twitter, etc. We've got a new kid on the block, right? New kid in town, 18-year-old, 5'6", Min Hyuk Yang. I'm never sure with Korean names what's the first name, what's the last name, whether it's Yang Min Hyuk. He's a right-footed winger who can play on the left wing and as a second striker. I watched videos of him. Let's start. Soren, have you watched anything of this young kid?
I know everything about this young kid. I've watched him for years and years and years. He's going to be an absolute world beater. Just pack it down that I said he will be the best thing since sliced bread. I ain't got a clue. Look, I'm same as you. I've watched the YouTube videos and he looks good. He looks like he's going to do some good. And the only thing I can try to trust in is obviously Ange knows that area. In theory, Scott Munn should know that area, and you know we've gone for him for a reason. Only time will tell. But I mean, we haven't actually signed him yet, though, have we? It's not official yet, is it? So
apparently, it's for the colossal sum of $4 million. And I think we probably saved that on wages and what we've got rid of players so far this season. So exactly. It's hardly a risk, but I understand fans' frustration because I want quality players in either this week or next week. So as we've got 2 weeks with any new players in the squad. Mark Cook, have you watched any videos of this kid?
I've seen some bits and pieces, Adrian, but not enough to really comment on it. It's just one of them, isn't it? It's like you say, 18 years old. Will he? I'll take it. He'll go into the under-21s for a bit, will he? When he finally comes, or will he go? Is he? Are they classing him as going to be a first-team player?
Well, he's going to have to be tested, isn't he? I mean, he's not going to be able to get a pre-season with us because he's not going to join us till about January. So we can sort of park him for now, and we'll see how he progresses from there. And then what I particularly like about him, he's actually a winger who's got an eye for goal and scores goals, and from outside the box. I mean, he's fast, he dribbles inside and out, looks good. And then Desiree Douy of France, who everyone's raving about, and they're talking 40, 50, 60 million to PSG, Bayern, or Barcelona, or Real Madrid. And I'm looking at this Korean kid, and I'm looking at Desiree Douy, and I don't see a lot in it. And we're buying a player for 4 million, and this other player is going to cost like 40 odd million, you know. I mean, if he was costing a lot of money and it was affecting the rumoured 3 players but he's still yet to get in, then I'd have a problem with it. Mark Cousins, did you watch the video I sent you or not?
Yes, of course I did. No, but like, no. Honestly, I want to know when we're building the school and the college. these signings, all of them unproven. When are the first team players coming in?
And not unproven.
Well, of course they are.
Gray is not. I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying. He's unproven in the Premiership, but he has played against Premiership teams. He will be okay.
All right. So you say. But like okay. Me and you are never going to agree on this. I want to see players that make us better.
I agree with you. Yeah,
not 5 years' time. Not 5 years' time.
It won't be 5 years' time. He will be in the team this season.
No. Well, wait and see. But
Ellie, have you watched him?
I'm enjoying the squabbling.
Listen,
it reminds me of my
subjective opinions. They're all right as long as it stays mature and sensible.
I love it. I love a little bit of banter. Right. Yeah. So I did watch it, and I think he's got something about him. Whether he can cut it in the Premiership, that's another thing. I'm with Mark Cousins in regards to, opening up a college. There's Enfield College, that's still quite empty. We can send them there for football practice. No, all seriousness, right? If the boy they've touted him, they like him. He's got all the right skill set to be a success in a Postecoglou system. Because he can move the ball quickly. He's got something about him. He's fast. He's got that low sense of gravity again, right? We're not just going to get him off the chopping block for no reason. There's a reason why this kid is at our club. But I was more interested in what the Hotspur Hood said about Dan, about Chiesa, because that is a player that I'd love at Spurs, because although he's got an injury he's injury prone, right? Even if he plays 25, 30 games for us, that's 25, 30 superb games that he's going to put in for us, because that boy is class. And that boy you don't make it at Juventus, right, if you're not a fantastic footballer.
No, right? There's a player that improves us immediately.
Yeah, he improves us immediately, right? Yeah. It doesn't mean the other boy won't. I'll be with Soren in that respect, because we don't know. You're not sure, because a lot of players, they flatter to deceive, right? And you think they're going to make it and they don't. Look at Brian Hill. All the skill in the world, didn't make it. And he's going to be shipped out again.
Who's that other lad that we signed from Leeds? Jack Clark.
Yeah, he had all the promise, didn't deliver, and he's ended up back in the Championship. So I just feel we've got to give them a chance. You've got to look at them, all right? See if they can cut the mustard in the first team as well, if they make it. And then if they can hold their place, because there'll be loads of players chopping at the bit to take their place if they drop form, which is good, because competition for places is always good at clubs, regardless. We've seen it at the most successful clubs. Look how Manchester City rotate their talent, all right? So if we've got a young lad with a little bit of talent like he has, and he's going to develop it even more, he's only going to develop it by getting game time as well, isn't he? All right, so let's see what Postecoglou's got up his sleeve with this lad. It's a wait and see, isn't it? Whereas Chiesa, it's not a wait and see, because we know he's proven. All right, he's not proven in the Premiership, but he's proven in Italy. If you can make it in Italy, because that they got some fabulous defenders in Italy.
He was Italy's best player in the Euros.
Yeah, and I remember him shining in that Euro final against England. Chiesa, he was absolutely sublime. So let's see if we can get this one over the line, and if we can get Eze as well and a striker, that would be fantastic.
Right. In his recent press conference out in Japan, Ange said that we've had our targets. He's virtually, to paraphrase him, he's virtually said we've had our targets for quite a while now, and intended to get them over the line. Now, Chiesa could come into the fray as an opportunity signing, because there's no way going back months we'd have thought about going in for Chiesa if Juventus were not going to let him go or decided to let him go. So he's new on the scene. I still think it's a deal that can be done. I hope it's done, personally.
That's got Paratici all over it, isn't it, Adrian?
Yeah, but so it's come late on this. But he's saying we've always been pushing for. We know we wanted for a long time now. A lot of the information and media is BS. We know that. We get that every transfer window. So if he says, I was trying to think back, I'll come to you, Mark, back thinking about who we're interested in, like, say, from when the season closed or even just before the season closed, who we're interested in. I keep the alarm bell of Conor Gallagher keeps popping up in my head.
Me?
Mark Cook.
Yeah. As far as Chiesa is concerned, I would say a fit Chiesa definitely takes us up another level, Adrian.
Yeah.
Just in the forward line. You know, if you've got, I don't know, Son on the left or even Son down the centre. Not that I like him down the centre. I'd rather see Son on the left now, to be honest with you. But Chiesa definitely raises us if he's fit. Like Ellie said, if he's fit and he's firing like he was in the Euros, I think it'd be a great step for us. And at the price, it'd just be mad not to get him, wouldn't it? For the sort of money that they're talking, under 20 million or something like that.
25, I heard.
Is it 25? So
right.
yeah,
I think that might be in euros. So.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great signing as long as he stays fit.
Let's not forget, he's just started to follow Bergville and Gray on social media, and a few of the other Tottenham players.
I didn't know that, Soren.
Quite telling, isn't it?
Yeah, they've been saying stuff all day about him, and it does look like it's a done deal. And just to point out as well, everybody that's wanting Neto is more injury prone than Chiesa.
Yeah.
Chiesa hasn't actually had that many injuries compared to a few of the players we've been linked to. So if we can get him in, it is a good deal.
Another thing on that, Soren, just quickly. He doesn't score a lot, Neto, and we need wingers who can score. Okay, he's exciting to watch, very exciting to watch, but he's not a great goal scorer. Great player, but not a great goal scorer.
Yeah, I mean, even when people were going, when fans were going for Neto, I was going for Rafinha because his stats, believe it or not, are twice as good as Neto's. Rafinha's stats, Barca. Yeah. But
where are we expecting Chiesa?
Well,
where are we expecting Chiesa to play though? Because he's more of a winger than an actual striker, isn't he?
Well, he can play across the front three, can't he?
I think for me, I always think he looks stronger coming from the right.
Well, that's good. Competition for Johnson, and Decky can move in the middle.
Yeah.
And I think this deal's got a good chance of getting done. And I think it's because of the price. Seriously. I'd pay 30 mil
someone I've heard of.
I'd pay 30 to 40 mil for him. I mean,
will you be happy with that one, Mark?
Because
without a shadow of a doubt.
Can we agree on that? Can we have it in writing?
Yes, I agree with you with that one. Yeah, I've always been friends. It's just I don't agree.
You consider the player Chiesa, right? Now he's won everything at Juve, right? Then Roma and Lazio come in for him. Now for him, that's a step down, and he said wants to come to the Premier League. So whether he ends up at us, Man United, to sniff in or whatever, for the price, you've got to go and get this deal done, right? If he wants to come, I mean, like if he prefers Man United, there's nothing you can do about that, right? But if you're willing to pay the money, and look, it'd be cheaper than Rafinha, it'd be cheaper than Neto. They're talking like 40 to 60 million for Neto. Are they having a laugh or something? Right. So for me, go on, Ellie, you were going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say 40, 50. See, I always thought Kulu scores more goals, more assists, because I was doing a comparison with Kate. Nothing against Kate, but she loves Neto, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? She prefers him to Kulu on the wing. But I think Kulu's going to be used differently anyway. He's going to be a false 9 because that's his best position by far, or just like a number 10 because he can cook. But Neto, coming back to Neto, I just think it's a waste of money because, like you said, Rafinha's got better stats as well. If we're going to go for somebody who can score because we need the goals. Because where else are we going to get the goals from? If we don't sign a top striker, like it doesn't look like we're doing, so I've not seen us link. But we might have one up the sleeve with Ivan Toney. He might be, the one who's going to come, hopefully, of Vlahovic, because Paratici, he's got those Juventus connections, and he can sweet talk anybody in coming to Spurs. So he's got
he's
that.
Not allowed to sweet talk anybody at the moment.
Yeah, I like him because he cooks, and we need somebody cooking on the outside as well as the inside. There we go, Alan. Yes.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Evening, Alan. How are you? Hope you're well.
Doing well. Happy Friday.
We're talking about Chiesa. You like the player?
Yes. And from what I understand, we're pretty close with Chiesa at this point.
Yeah.
I think we're just working out transfer fee. I think, because I think we've come to personal terms with him.
Yeah. There's a bit of a myth and all with it. I think with like unless it's Barcelona or Real Madrid and Juve, and compares them with their wage bills compared to the Italian leagues. There's rumours that Chiesa's 150 grand a week. I was told he was on about 90, which because you go to Juventus for the trophies, don't you, players?
Right.
And if you've got enough trophies, but if he's on 150, I'd give him it anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, like Bernard's on 165, so that's a snip.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Where do you play him? Do you play him on the wing or do you play him down the middle?
On the left wing.
On the left wing.
Yeah. Left
Which
wing.
We've got to be careful though. We're having this subject because I also want Eze in, and he's left midfield, left wing number 10. So go on, we've got to talk about this. Yeah, go on. Maybe Chiesa goes on the right.
I would play him on the right wing. Yeah. Right footed, down to the byline, kick it over. Because the problem is playing him on the left, with him being a right footer, he's always going to cut in. He's going to cut in. He's going to cut in. He's like Kulu does now.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, if you play him on the right wing, or obviously just play striker as well. Get him down that wing and let him cross it with his foot. That's it's one of those that if you're going to play him left, where you're going to play Son, does that mean Son's going down the middle? Son's better on the left. So to me, you either put him down the centre or you play him on the right.
And he's only 26, Soren. He's 26. He's just coming into his prime. So we're going to get him at the right time as well. 26-year-old adds value to the team and an instant first teamer in my book. Yeah.
Mark Cook. But did you ever say
He's
on
quite
Chiesa?
handsome as well from a girl's perspective.
Oh, Ellie.
From a woman's perspective, you know.
Well, now that
I'm a married
Højbjerg is
woman.
gone, she's got
I'm a looking, I'm not a touching.
He
right.
can play for Tottenham. He's good looking. No, we don't want him. He's ugly.
I did have a say on it, a little say,
Yeah.
Adrian. Adrian, one quick question. Do you think Chiesa could play as a 10?
Ask Danny in the chat. He knows all about shit.
The thing, he could
He
play
plays
through
number
the
7
middle.
for Uwe.
He could play through the middle. I'm inclined to agree with the others and play him on the right to give Johnson more competition, because on the left you've got Sonny and Werner. If you bring Eze in, and I'm still hopeful we do, he's going to play left midfield or as a number 10 or on the left wing-ish sort of. He plays more of an inside left to me, I think.
I'd play him on the left and get rid of bloody Werner.
We all want that, Mark, but you know Werner's going to be with us for a season, only for wages.
He's
though.
going to be the car park attendant, isn't he?
And he'll get game time. He'll get game time, like I say. I mean, like I would prefer Sonny on the left.
He can serve me beers and the bricklayers.
It's whoever we get in next, we'll all be playing Football Manager and you know, creating more and more permutations of what formations we're going to play in front of our back. We know what the back 4 and 5 are going to be. It's the 6 in front of them that we don't know what's going to be. You know what I mean? And we can toy. We all toy with it. I mean, you know, if we got a right back in tomorrow, well, that's it. Gray's playing in midfield, right? They're done. You know it. So as a player comes in, it's going to determine a lot of things. There's going to be more permutations, which is good. It's good. It's good to be able to have a choice about not look at the bench and think, oh, a load of crap, right?
You mean Royale does go, though? He hasn't gone yet.
We'll talk about him next then, actually. Let's talk about Emerson Royal. Good. Leads me into Emerson Royal, right? So, rumours about him going, and the rumour is that, if depending on who you believe, the deal with Milan is close, AC Milan, or it's not close, that they're 3 million apart. You know, when it comes to, we get this every year with Spurs that we're 3 million or 5 million apart, and no one knows what the figures are. This is just BS. I mean, like, so they're discussing it. Look, he's got a value, and to me, I don't agree with getting rid of players at half price just because fans want them out the club. I want a fair price for that player because it goes into our transfer kitty, doesn't it? You know, and I think Emerson Royal is a £20 million defender in the right. If he'd played a lot of games, even more, right? Because Spence's value's probably gone up since his appearances for the under 21s much, and I hope it's really annoying, Genoa. I really do, you know. I was not a fan of Emerson. I just think he lacks technique. He's got all the physicality to be a defensive, very deep line defender, right back, and all that. Even temporary substitute at centre half, but you know, he's not good enough for Spurs, is he? Mark Cook, he's not good enough. Emerson, is he? He's just not good enough.
I just want him to go now, and I just want him to go now. To be honest, Adrian, he's had, I don't know how long he's been at ours now. Is it 4 years or longer than that? But I think don't get me wrong, you know, when we needed him at centre half, when we was knackered last season, he was there, done a job to a degree. But I just think we've got to move on, try and get as much as we can for him, and like you say, reinvest it back into the squad. I'm sure there's better players out there that will suit Angie's purposes better than Emerson Royal.
Yeah. Mark Cousins.
Yeah. Well. I mean, give him his flowers because he spent £1 million of his own money trying to get fitter and fit in, and so you've got to take your hat off to him for that. But like, he just doesn't fit the system. He can't invert. You know, he's a good defender, but Ange wants more out of like your sort of right back than that. He wants him to go into the midfield, and he can't do it. So sorry, he's got to go. You know, I got nothing against him as a player because in a solid back 4 system, I'm sure he'll do very well. But he just can't do the others. You know, he can't do what Ange wants. So sorry, Goodbye.
Soren?
I think he's one of those players that play him in a conventional back four where you are not putting your wing backs bombing forward, and probably like an Italian league or something like that. And I think he would be okay. Playing him in a system like we play in the Premiership, where you want them to go forward, he just can't. And look, we said this a few weeks ago. Can you imagine if Ndombele had his work ethics, where he wanted to be better and things like that, or Royal had Ndombele's skill sets, we could have had a real player one way or another out of the two. But yeah, he's not good enough for this system. And the problem is, I think when you watch him on the ball, you're always worried that he's going to do something stupid. And that's it's kind of like going back to when we had Eric Dyer, that he would have some real good in a match, or a couple of good matches, and then all of a sudden 2 or 3 mistakes, and those mistakes generally cost us a goal as well. That's the problem. Or he does this, he runs forward, and instead of getting a crossing, he passes it backwards again. So he's not good enough for this system, and I think it's a shame, because when you've got a player with his attitude and his ethics, you want them to do well, and unfortunately, he just won't.
Yeah. My take on him, he just doesn't do anything for me. But like any manager we ever have, or any player we ever have, I will support them while at the club. And then when they go, wish them well, thank themselves, and go. We've had a lot of good servants at the club that have helped us evolve through periods of time. Sissoko, Højbjerg, players like that. And they did well of us during certain periods. But then, like, once your squad starts to improve, suddenly people start to, look down on them, you know what I mean? Because you brought other players in, We see the changes coming. So, that's him. So we'll move on to, let's talk about Bryan Gil. The deal with Girona is getting close, or it's not getting close, according to reports. So, Alan, your take on Bryan Gil?
I had high hopes for him when we first, because we gave them Lamela, and I thought, oh, well, if we're going to give a player like Lamela to them, we're going to be inheriting this young, amazing talent. And I was very disappointed in his drive. If he had drive like Emerson Royale had to get better, and maybe to put on a little bit of extra muscle on, because when he's out there, a stiff breeze blows him over, and he just looks so out of his depth when he's playing. And I don't know that the Premier League is the place for him. I think somewhere like the Italian leagues or the Spanish leagues. Where did you say? Girona, so he's going, where's that, Spanish league, the Italian league. So I think that might fit him better. I honestly don't think that he's ever been that happy in England. I think he's been looking to leave to go back to Spain for whatever he could, whether it was on loan or whatever. And I think he was disappointed to come back from loan. He just doesn't seem that kind of player that wants to be on the team. And if he does, and I figure if he doesn't want to be on the team, then more power to him to go down the lane and be gone.
Can I just say, so would you if you saw the weather in this country? You'd want to be out of here as well and go and live in Spain where it's nice and warm.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, a bit of sun on your back.
Do we think that attitude's purely because he's not getting game time as well, though? I mean, if he's a player that wants to play, then he's never going to be happy sitting on a bench, is it? That's the problem.
Well, you're right. I guess anybody, if they're not getting time to play, regardless of whether or not that they're the best in their position on the team or not, if they feel if their attitude is I should be playing, then yeah, they're definitely not going to be happy. And he shouldn't be on the. We should be encouraged to send him somewhere else if he's not happy. No menace or anything like that. In general, I feel like Tottenham needs to get into that big club mindset of constantly improving on our players. You know, the turnover, I think, could be a lot higher. We wind up sitting on so many players, and then we have to have transfer windows like this where we spend half the time just trying to get rid of players that are, you know, the excess players, the surplus to requirements players. Whereas like Man City, they don't have that problem. They seem to be able to churn and burn regardless of who they lose. They're able to bring in new players that are just amazing. And they keep improving on their positions. And I think that that's something we need to do. And with Brian Hill, we absolutely can do it. Where does he really play? Is he a left winger? He was on the left wing?
Winger. Yeah, he's a left winger.
Yeah, we have so many players already for that position. He definitely is a surplus to requirements player. And I'm hoping that we can get something for him like what we had to invest into him. You know, with how much do we pay? I forget what we paid on top.
25 million.
I think it was 21.
25 million plus Lamella, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
you think you're going to get some star quality player for that money?
Exactly.
But in his defence, right, I'd like to say, in his defence, he is a very, very good, talented footballer. He is. He just doesn't suit Premiership because of his lightweight. Like you said, like a false 1 gal would blow him over, let alone a false 10.
Yeah.
I mean, if I went and sneezed on him, he'd probably fall over. But he is a fantastic footballer because I've seen him in training. Oh, my God. I saw this training video and I was thinking, this player is so talented. He was hitting top pin, left pin, right pin, and he was hitting accurately the sort of target in the goal, and the power and the precision was fantastic. And I thought, this player, he doesn't even get a look into the first team. He's not on the manager's list. They're thinking Brian Hill, right? He's way down the list. Yep. Who's going to get an opportunity? So what he does is training, and what he's doing on the pitch is two different things, right? Yes. And we've seen it before. I read about Ndombele being the best trainer at the club, but on the pitch, when he came on the pitch, nothing.
Performance anxiety.
The Sheffield United goal and the Aston Villa goal, that's all I can remember really of any substance. And Brian Hill, I can't put any 2 or 3 things together that impressed me that much. And for the manager looking in on what he's doing when he's got his chance, even under Conte as well, the only match I can say that he done really, really well in was when we played Aston Villa at home and he was cooking with Benny and Gio, the 3 of them. They were really playing well in that first half an hour. They were fabulous, all of them. But I can't think of any other game that I wasn't disappointed with him. You know, maybe the Fulham game away, he was doing a little bit of, you know, Luka Modric style movement, but he hasn't got the physicality that Modric has got, right? Even though Modric is so small, in comparison, they're like chalk and cheese. So we can't carry a player like that. So he has to be shipped out. And unfortunately for him, he doesn't really want, I would expect that he wants to go to Spain. That's where his parents are. He's probably a bit homesick as well. And like you said, Mark, the weather is shit over here. You don't know what to get. So why not go back home? Look, good luck to him. Like any player leaves Spurs, he's probably going to win a trophy. He's already won one already with Sevilla, hasn't he? With he joined up Lamella again and they won the UEFA Cup together. And I see them all. They're sort of sporting their medals, like rubbing it into Spurs, aren't they? You know, rubbing it into our wounds. So hopefully we can do the reverse this season and we can have the UEFA Cup or the Europa Cup, as it's called now, right? So yeah, good luck to the boy. He has got talent, but not for the Premiership.
No, he's not suited.
No.
He's not suited. Definitely
Mark
not.
Cook, your take on Gil?
Well, Alan nicked me first part of the answer. That's what I'm telling you anyway about him being very lightweight. When he first came, Adrian, I've got to say, when I watched him when he played, he'd pick the ball up with his back, facing the way he wanted to go. But he'd drop back with a ball 10 yards and then turn to see what was about. There was never any of this little one touch and go round the corner. Didn't see much of that from him at all. And I was quite surprised because videos that I'd seen of him before that he came, it seemed like he was that type of player. But it just hasn't materialised for him. And anyone who's played football will know, not necessarily to Premier League level, but if you don't fit in a team, you don't fit.
Yeah, it's one of those
it
players.
just happens sometimes. It just happens, and I'm the same as everyone else. Good luck to him. I hope he gets a move back to Spain, to wherever he's going, and may he be prosperous in his career.
Yeah, he's one of those players to me that when they do go away and they play in a league where they, it's not as physical for a whole season as this Premier League. Yeah. And then when you meet them in Europe, they play blindingly well against you, don't they?
Yeah.
Sometimes players are caught on that as well. Look at Ndombele when he played away for Leon against Man City. He was brilliant in that game. And everybody thought, who the hell is this, And who bought him? We did. Yeah. Okay, we'll move on from him because a couple more. Yeah. Because we've nearly got. It looks like we will. I think we'll clear out most of Deadwood, right? Yeah. So now, Lo Celso, guys, right?
Yeah, another one.
Who wants to take Lo Celso in his time at Spurs?
I will if you want.
I'll do. Well, yeah. Whoever wants to go. Go on, Mark. You go first.
We go, Mark. Okay.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, if we painted blue stripes on our home shirt, he'd play every game. I've always said that.
On our away kit, it looks like Argentina's
It does look like Argentina's kit.
Yeah. If we could play in the new away kit all the time, he'd be fit every game. But, to be honest, I quite liked him, but he just seems to be always injured. Allegedly now the rumours are that Aston Villa want him.
Yeah.
Because Unai Emery likes him.
Yeah.
He likes Emery.
And Real Betis, and there was a rumour at one time Lazio or Napoli or something.
Yeah. He's another one of these that's come in and he don't really. But to be honest though, I'm surprised he never played more last season because, especially when Maddison was injured, he's his natural replacement. And he didn't even get in then, or hardly ever. So maybe Ange doesn't fancy him. And if Ange don't want him, you just will get rid.
Yeah,
but he was another one that came in for quite big money, wasn't it? Was it 30 odd million? 40 million?
He was actually signed. He was on loan. It was Mourinho who signed him fully.
Yeah.
Fully. And I just find it a little bit odd with him. The injuries, everyone's right. Made of glass, right, for us. Definitely a player. They're definitely a talent. If he hadn't been injured in the World Cup, he would have played in front of McAllister because Messi likes him that much, right? And you look at McAllister, who went from Brighton to Liverpool for 36 million because I think that was a fixed fee, and yet they now want to talk about like 10, 15 mil for Lo Celso. I still think he's a quality footballer when fit. We've discussed Chiesa and injury and Neto and all that, and I still think he's a 30 million pound player personally, but would we struggle to get that? There's been talk of an exchange deal for Ramsey at Villa, isn't there?
For Jacob Ramsey, yeah.
Well, we nicked three of their staff. We took Frederick Left, who's had a strategy. We nicked Milo Jedinak, who was captain of Australian, worked with Ange before as a coach, and we took Johan Langer, who's our director of football at Villa. So any links with Villa? They would know the Villa squad like the back of their hands. I take with a bit of a pinch of salt. And you don't do swap deals anyway, do you? Even the Maddison Winks deal, they were separate deals, when we took Madison for that. Gil, Alan, your opinion on Gil?
Or on Lo Celso?
Oh, sorry, Lo Celso.
Yeah, Lo Celso. So I was so excited when we got him from Betis. I had really high hopes for him as well. I think he's got so much talent. But it was pointed out, I think we see it when he plays for Argentina, and maybe he's not the best in training. Maybe he doesn't try as hard. I'm wondering why Ange didn't play him more last season, because he would send him on with like 8 to 10 minutes left in the game, and which really isn't a lot of time to feature yourself. You kind of need that amount of time to really get warmed up into a game, and then by then it's already ending for him. So, and when he did play, I thought he was physical. He does play with physicality. I think he challenges. I guess like Højbjerg, I felt like last season Højbjerg was on display because we knew we weren't going to keep him this summer. And I'm kind of hoping that maybe if we don't get rid of Lo Celso this season, he features a bit more so that he can be on display, so that other teams can really see, wow, he's got the chops, and which will of course increase his value to the team and to other teams.
The thing is, Alan, he's got 1 year left on his contract, I think. So I don't.
Is it only the 1 year?
Yeah, I think it's only the 1 year now.
Oh, then they need to.
Well, we'd be lucky to get 20 mil for him, I reckon.
Yeah, I would say if we can get 20 million for him, send him on his way. Again, it's a shame. I think he has a lot of talent, and if he got more playtime last season, I think we probably would be in a better position to sell him this summer. But because he's not getting so much, he didn't really even get a lot of time in Argentina. He got some time in Argentina, and what he did do in Argentina, I think he got an assist in the final, and he did pretty well. So I know he can perform. I'm a little concerned that he would go to like Aston Villa and really excel at Aston Villa, and then suddenly we're playing again, like you said, with an Ndombele. What did we give away? But I just don't think if it doesn't work, I think he doesn't fit the system. He's just not fitting the system.
Yeah, it's going. Now, Mr. Kaufman, I am chief moderator around here. I am chief moderator around here. There'll be no belittling Lager in any way, shape, or form. He's saying this because, like, he knows I like lager.
Yeah, I think you're partial to it.
Well, Mark, what your take on Lo Celso as a footballer?
Am I allowed to give my real opinion, Adrian?
Of course you are. If you think he's shit, say so.
With all the trimmings.
No, I don't think he's shit. I just think, again, it's another player that's not suited to the Tottenham way for whatever reason. He's Alan mentioned about him being physical. I don't think he is particularly physical for an 8 or an 8/10. I didn't see him really get stuck in much. All I see him do is laying about on the floor when he gets tackled. He rolls about every time he gets touched. So you can say, oh, that's part of the game. Whatever. He's just not for me. He's just not. And I don't think he suits the way we play. I know he had injuries, and it's always difficult when you've been out 3 or 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever, to come back flying. But I just don't think he doesn't elevate us at all. I don't think. From what we've got, anyone that's on there, you'll get the odd flash, of brilliance, but he doesn't do it on a consistent basis. So for me, that's the sort of players we need to be coming in. We need players that are going to lift us to another level.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's that age.
Soren?
I just want to say to Ben, glad you enjoyed it, mate. Coming from my coffee, so don't worry. Lo
That's the
Celso,
comment below, Adrian. That's the comment. That's the next comment, Adrian.
I think personally, I think Lo Celso is a damn good player. I think his time at Tottenham has been hampered with stupid injuries and just never getting a good run in the team. I think had he had a good run in the team, I think we'd have seen the Lo Celso you see for Argentina, the Lo Celso we thought we was buying, and the Lo Celso that we should be seeing play. Yeah, I mean, it's just another one. There is, whether it's an attitude problem, whether it's a training problem, but there's obviously something in there, especially with Ange, that he doesn't like, because there has been so many opportunities where it was screaming out for him to come on and, have a few games. And then when he did come on, if he played all right, he wouldn't start the next match. So you kind of look at it again as a player, probably sat there thinking, well, what's the point? If I come on and play well, I'm not going to play the next game, or and like we said earlier, he comes on for 5 minutes, and sometimes it wasn't even 5 minutes; it was maybe a minute or two. And what the hell are you going to do in that time? So, look, the best thing for Lo Celso to do now is to leave. Knowing our luck, he'll go to Villa in this swap deal, and he'll be a star in the Premiership. It's sod's law, innit? He'll go on and win the cup or something next season. But you don't win World Cup. Well, I suppose he wasn't in the team for World Cup, was he? Because he was injured. But obviously, he's just won the.
He was injured for Argentina.
Yeah.
Yeah, the World Cup he was. Yeah,
he got him to the World Cup and then was injured for the squad.
Yeah,
so,
that is surprising.
Yeah, I think it was it one of the last few games of the season for us or something or whatever. He got an injury. I do think he's one of those players that we've looked at, and you can see there is some talent in there. He is a good player, but it just hasn't worked for him. It's one of those things. Wrong player, wrong team, wrong time.
Well, this is one of the times when football made a fool of me, and it has done many times over the decades, right? I was really singing his guy's praises when he came. I'd seen him play. I'd seen glimpses of Argentina, seen them moments of brilliance Mark Cook mentioned, which he's got in him to be a tremendous player. I mean, to get in the Argentinian World Cup squad, you're not a bad player. But with some players, the Premier League is just not for them. Maybe it's just too physical and that causes his injuries or what, I don't know. No. Okay, we move on to the last guy. And this one's got me a bit puzzled. Reguilon, guys, right? Well, let's go with Soren on Reguilon. Because to me, I just want to add one little bit to this. To me, I don't really know this guy. I haven't seen nothing know this guy. And if the decision's been made to get rid of him, this has got to be done what we don't see in training or players' attitude or something. Because I know very little about him. I've watched him, but I wanted to see more of him.
When we signed him, and he had that clause, didn't he, where Real Madrid could come back for him for a year or 2 years or 3 years, whatever it was. And the first season he played for us, it looked like he was going to be the player we all thought he was going to be. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Dan. I think I remember in a few years ago, can't remember which manager it was, whether it was Conte or somebody, where they called him a party boy and he just couldn't turn up to training on time, and he was partying when he shouldn't have been. And I think you get that reputation and it's hard to shake off. I would like to see him play under Ange. I think he would suit the system. He's not gonna. So, to me, the sooner he goes, the better. And I don't mean that in a condescending way or anything like that. I just think, let's just get rid of all the players we don't want and get them gone. If he's not going to get a chance, just get gone. And the problem is, like where we're saying 20 mil for Lo Celso, the market's showing we're not going to get anything like what we expected for any of our players.
No.
You look at Højbjerg, gone out on basically a loan with an obligation because
Yeah.
can't get the money for him. So, you know, what money have we got for any of our players this season? Nothing.
Yeah. Anyone else want to have a say on Reguilon?
Yeah, I'll have a say, right? Because the thing is with Reguilon, right, he's got talent, but the defensive work is pretty pants. If I'm to tell the truth, there was one mishap that he did when he scored the own goal, and just generally his defensive work is a bit woeful. But going forward, very exciting. I remember we played Vissel right under Conte, and I was in the South Stand with Josh, who's a big Spurs fan, like, and you know Josh, who was on El Tel Cocorel a lot. Yeah, Josh Pavitt. And we were like a stone's throw away from each other, and we were just looking at each other, and like this girl shouted, "Reguilon, I love you." Right? And he had more attention with the girl loving him than he had on the match. And he was like, he's focused. That's what it is with Reguilon. He's not focused enough to make it in the Premiership. You know, you've got to be so on it in the Premiership. You switch off their scoring, right? You switch off and if the whole defence switches off, then you're in trouble. But Reguilon, he was a bit of a liability defensively. But like when he was going forward, there were so many times where he could have scored. I remember having a chat with Dave, the Irish Hotspur, and he goes, he's brilliant right up until when he's going to shoot. A bit like Werner, but as a defender, he just couldn't put it away. And you're thinking, go on, Reguilon, because you know he's got all the talent. He's a talented footballer. There's no doubt about that. But as a whole footballer, if you want a inverted wing back, he won't make the grade with Postecoglou's system, and he's seen that early doors, right? And attitude as well. You know, you've got to be on it 24/7 as a Premiership player. If you're slacking, and won't put up with that, and you can see that in Reguilon. We shipped him to Brentford, didn't we? And
Manchester United.
Yeah, and Man United, and even at Man United, he didn't really get that much of a look in, right? As soon as Luke Shaw was fit, that was it. Right, so I just feel good luck to him, like with Lo Celso and Brian Hill. Good luck to him. You know, I'm sure he'll make one happy manager in his career, but not at Spurs, because he just doesn't. He hasn't got all the minerals that Postecoglou's looking for. So have a good career, Reggie. You know, you're not a bad player, but you just don't. You're not for us.
Yeah. Want to win somewhere else.
Yeah, go and win something somewhere else. Yeah, and hopefully we can win a cup as well, Soren. If we win one and each player that we've given out wins one, at least we're on even kill. But we've only won one in 24 years. So we've got to buck up our ideas at Tottenham, because the fans will get pissed off. They will. Like our fan base are quite.
What do you mean, will? I think
our fan base is quite forgiving when you think about it. One cup in 24 years, and we're still turning up in our droves, 63,000, and home and away. We follow our club, don't we? We're the most passionate, idiotic fans you can find in the
Get the purple and gold out.
We follow our team. We love our club, don't we? So
get the purple and gold out again.
If they were just as passionate as us, right, that we would have won 24 cups in 24 years. You know, but we've only got one to our name.
That'd be boring.
Yeah, it would be pretty boring, but I'd love it. I'd love to go down to the town hall. But
what we're going to have to moan about?
Soren, I lived a stone's throw away from the town hall. I lived in Beaconsfield Road, Tottenham. It was just round the corner from the town hall. And I used to play football in this little perched grass with a massive tree that my brothers used to climb. And that tree's got a history. And I look at it now and I think I'd love to climb that tree. I would try and climb it just to bloody see our club win one trophy, you know, to add to the other.
The last time we planted a trophy, the bloody seed was planted.
Do you know what I mean? Come on, Spurs, wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah, wake
Right.
up and sell the trophies.
Let's move on to Angie's recent presser. And when he's saying, like, we've had our targets for quite some time, right? That's what he said in the presser. So you need to think back to who the possible targets could be, guys. And, like, it takes time, but we'll get them done, or whatever, or trying to get them done. Now, I would exclude Chiesa out of the equation simply because he's an opportunity signing that's come in late. He's late on parade, basically. So if we've already had a list of signings that we want, and probably more than one in every position that Ange may be looking for, although Ange is the hardest manager to fathom out, and the recruitment's the hardest to fathom out of this club. Most other managers, you'd guess, yeah, we need this player in that position, and you'd all be right. So, and also, we're rumoured to have a large sum of money to spend as well. Don't all laugh, right? So, 3 players, Soren. Who are these 3 players we're bringing in? You can have some fun with this, right? It doesn't matter. I mean, like, because we don't
It's one of those. I mean, when you listen to what he said, you kind of think, well, we're not going to know until we've actually signed them. If we sign the players, because look, you rule out Chiesa. What's to say Chiesa wasn't one of them? What's to say? I mean, the problem is we're all listening to the media telling us that we're going to sign Eze, we're going to sign Neto, we're going to sign Tony, we're going to sign Chiesa, we were going to sign Calafiori. Well, which 3 is it then? This is the problem. That it wouldn't surprise me if, like, say, Chiesa was one of them, and they're going to come out of the woodwork. Still think we might sign Tony. I'm not saying whether it's a great signing or not, but you know, I think out of all the ones we're talking about, when we talk about Eze, we talk about Tony, we talk about Gallagher. If you went back a few weeks or months, they're the 3 that we would be expecting. So if we're gonna sign, if we're gonna sign 3 that have been looked at all the time, that means we're signing 4 if we get Chiesa, which I don't think we are signing 4 if we get Chiesa. So look, I don't think we're gonna know. It'll be one of those that we'll sign 3 players and we'll be told these are the 3 players we were looking at all the time. So who knows? I can
throw a few names at you and see if you agree. I'll make it easy. I mean, originally, when we were talking about transfers, the name that kept coming up all the time was Conor Gallagher. And we were also linked with Jimenez at Feyenoord quite a bit earlier on, which gone cold. We were linked with Tony. Jonathan David's only just come on the scene. I think it's more because he
was on the scene earlier as well.
Yeah,
he went away and then he came back.
He's 24, you see, whereas Tony's 29, and we don't know about the baggage, do we, and things like that. So there's that. I mean, like, regarding those, even Gibbs White was mentioned earlier as well. The new guys like Alman and the other Spanish winger played well during the tournament. Forget his name now. They've only recently come on the scene. It looks like they'll go to Barcelona or Real Madrid anyway. So, Mark Cook, who do you think these early rumours were about? And does it worry you? Worries me.
Who knows, Adrian? I think that whether it improves us or not, I think the Jacob Ramsey thing could definitely be a goer with Lo Celso going the other way. That wouldn't surprise me at all for that to happen, especially with Lang's involvement at Aston Villa as well. So that may well happen. I'm really hoping Chiesa comes, because I think he could be a big difference maker for us next year if he can keep fit. And also, he's one of them players as well that gets people up off their seat. You know what I mean? You know, when things might not be going as well as you want, a little bit of skill here and a little bit of something here. You know,
if
not
you're
sure.
right, go on. If you're right about Ramsey, do you think Skip goes? Because at the moment, you've got Basuma, Sarr, Bentancur, Maddison, Bergvall, Gray, Skip, and then So that's 7 midfielders. Ramsey would be 8, and that was even if we weren't bringing Eze in.
Yeah. Well, I would like to think that if Ramsey's coming in, Skip will go. Whether that'll be in this window or they'll keep him on, and then later on maybe see how it goes, and in January maybe, I don't know, sell him to someone, I don't know. But you know, if you're comparing the two between Ramsey and Skip, I think Ramsey takes you up a little bit just on those two players. You know, but I don't think overall Ramsey necessarily improves our midfield. He's just coming in on a level with what we are.
Well, he can play as a 10 as well, can't he? He's very energetic, and he can play as
he's very energetic. I'll give you that. But we've got that in Papasar, Adrian, haven't we?
Yeah, I think he's fantastic. So,
you know, so the third one, I can't tell you because it could be anyone. It could be anyone. I don't know. Is it the pay structure for Eze? They want like a lot up front, is it? I don't. You know, I've read it in a few different places.
He gets a piece of the salon clause money as well. I think that's in his contract.
Right.
Yeah, how's that for a new one in contracts?
That's smart.
But that'll only be part of the total price. Anything, it's just an interesting fact. Soren, 3 rumored.
Yeah, I mean, I've already said my 3, but let's just. The other thing that we should remember is, you know, we're all saying we wanted these signings in before we went on tour. If any of these signings that we're talking about, Tony, Eze, Chiesa, none of them would have been going on tour because they're all on holiday. You know, let's not forget that. Now, everybody thinks that if we'd have signed all these players, well, when we were going to sign, they're not going to sign for us while they're away on international duty. And then when they get back, they're on holiday. You know, none of these big players that we're talking about have actually signed for anybody yet. So this is the problem that we've got, that if they're good enough, in theory, they should be able to come in, especially if the Premiership players already, and kind of hit the ground running. I think we're talking about that one, aren't we? I don't think we should open again. But yeah, I just think, look, we've been linked to so many players. None of us are going to know what 3 they are until they're actually signed.
Right. Now, is it my go?
Yeah, go on.
No, you're not having a go, Mark.
No, judging on what we've signed so far, I'm expecting 3. I'm expecting 3 primary school children from Korea.
You're so funny, Mark. Honestly.
But like, you know, I mean, the signings that we sign now, especially seeing as we're going to have to build a creche, a college, a school, and whatever else we're doing, they've got to walk straight into the first team. They must.
Mark,
and improve.
Think of the other thing. We're going to save on shirts because we can use kids' shirts then.
Well, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
you know, so we're saving money.
Rather than 100 quid.
Yeah, but they must walk straight into the first team and make us better. None of this, like this rebuild, this has been going on for 24 years. You know, it's the longest rebuild in history, right? And you got to remember, because me and you were having this discussion off camera, Adrian, you pay £75 a ticket to go and watch that, to go and watch like a junior team running about. You know, if you're paying top dollar, you expect to get top product. And I'm sorry, well, not that I go much anymore, but we're just being ripped off. We are, and that is the truth of the matter. You know, you're paying top dollar to go and watch supposedly a top team, but it's never been delivered. Never.
Yeah, it's like you go to a restaurant to get a bit of steak.
Exactly. And they serve you a horse.
A gammy burger.
Well, yeah.
With flies on the side. You know what I mean? And we haven't produced any cups. We haven't won anything. So that's added to the distaste of the Spurs fans.
There we go. Look.
Because we've always been
there we go. Look. Ben, look.
Yeah.
$2,500 nearly to watch a bunch of kids. I mean, that's taking the piss.
Ellie, who do you think the 3 are then?
Can I just quickly jump in?
Yeah,
Matt, obviously, you know, we know you're not impressed with the youngsters. What will you say if these youngsters actually go and win us a cup next year?
But on the other hand, say if they don't.
Yeah, no, I'm putting one of those. These kids could go out and
we'll put it this way. Put it this way. I'm not completely against the kids. Of course, when they're at my club or our club, I will support them. But I don't think that's not what we pay for. We pay to go and see recognised talent.
A lot of us, and I don't know necessarily about you, but a lot of people that were on YouTube channels last season under Ange, we were all screaming out for the kids to be played, and now we're moaning that we've signed the top talented kids that we can, and we don't want them now. This is. I mean, I'm this isn't a go at you, Mark. Before you think that.
No.
This is what I don't understand. 1 minute we're crying out for something, and then the next minute we're moaning because we've got it. Now, the thing is sometimes with these kids, and I agree with everybody before you tell me that we do need to balance it out with some first team player. I'm not saying we don't, but these kids are going to come in and hopefully have no fear. They can just, if they understand what Ange wants and they play to the way Ange wants, it could be phenomenal, and it couldn't be. I know, it could be a disaster. But if he gets it right, and we get the 3 players that he supposedly wanted, then we've backed the manager exactly how he's asked for, and now we're not happy because we're giving him kind of tools to do things now and in the future, which is what we've been crying out for the last however many years. And it's just one of those things that it's frustrating because, I was one of them. Why aren't we playing the kids last year? Why aren't we playing the kids? They could be doing better than some of these players that are on the pitch. Oh, now we don't want the kids.
I've never said I don't want the kids.
No, but what I mean is, though, we're signing these kids, and this is what we've been asking for years. To say, why aren't we the team that's signing these top talented kids? Now we are doing it. We don't want them. We want established players instead. So
I don't mind us signing them as long as if they do walk straight into the first team, that they deserve their place because we've got nothing better. I mean, if we can get better, that's proven. You know what you're getting. Does exactly what it says on the tin. Say we bought Chiesa, you know exactly what he's going to do. Or an Eze, you know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Or a Tony, so you know exactly what you're getting from him.
Say we get Chiesa and Tony, how would you rate and that was it now, and then we get rid of Hill and blah, blah. How would you rate the window?
You're sort of, Eze and Tony improve us immediately. Because Eze's better than Richarlison, and Eze, he's on a par with Son. He's probably better than Son, to be honest.
Eze won't play Richarlison's position.
Hey, what?
Eze won't play.
No. I said Tony. Sorry.
I thought you said Eze.
So, Tony's better than Richarlison, and you can virtually guarantee that he's going to score goals. You virtually guarantee it.
Yeah.
And Eze, he plays on the left. He's on a par with Son, and so I mean, personally, it's going to be one of them, isn't it? It's going to be one of them that play because Son's going to stick about till he's about 90 because of the shirt sales. I mean, he's going nowhere. But the actual window, I mean, if Archie Gray and Bergvall come in and they're fabulous in the first team, you've got to give it a 8 out of 10. You've got to. But if they don't, and we're struggling, then it goes down to a 3 or a 4. It's like I said, these kids they're the unknown. You don't know. This is why I've been moaning, because I mean, players like Eze, that shouldn't be a one-off signing. That should be the norm for Tottenham to sign players like that. That should be a normal thing. All the money we got, and with the FFP, we're the kings of that should be a normal signing. not just a one-off Dustin Marquee signing. You know,
I think the thing is with that though, Mark, it's one of those. I totally agree with you. The problem is, and this is where you go back to the hierarchy and the board and all this lot, that because we've had so many managers and so many different styles of manager, we're always having to rebuild the team. And unfortunately, going out and buying that one marquee player every season at the moment or two isn't enough. We've got to basically restructure the whole team to suit the manager we've got now. The argument keeps coming forward, well, he'll be gone by Christmas. Well, this is where it's not just necessarily that it'll be Daniel Levy that'll get rid of him. It'll be the fans that'll force him out or force Levy to do this. And if we don't and we keep him for the season and then we go again, in theory, next summer, if we've rebuilt this summer, that one or two marquee players should be all we will need. But I agree with you where we say, well, yeah, if we get, I mean, to me, if we got a Chiesa, which to me we want on the right-hand wing, and then we put, say, Tony up front, I think we've got a damn good squad. I think we've got a team. I'm not going to say that is going to challenge for the title, but should be able to easily finish within the top four. But then it all depends on whether they stay fit and things like this. But, you know, the other thing is, where we talk about Bergville, I mean, he's been better than I mean, I know they're only pre-season games, but he's shown a lot of composure and a lot of skill on the ball. Gray, I just think he's gonna be in that first team pretty quickly. I think a lot of people don't realize what a good player he is. I think he's a bit underrated by some of our fans, which I get.
It's like I said, though, at the moment, it's all the unknown. I mean, he might be rubbish.
But if you talk to any Leeds fans, or if you've seen him play for Leeds, they will tell you just how good he is. I mean, I'm lucky because Leeds is just down the road from me.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's almost a local
team. You can tell by the accent, Soren.
Yeah. You mean I don't get away with my London accent?
No, you don't sound London like me.
Damn. I've been practicing, but obviously it's not coming across.
You've got a right mate, Aidan.
All right, mate.
An interesting point is like when you mention youth, because you're right, it is unknown territory, whatever happens, no matter what team you are. Yeah. Because if you look at last year, right, when you're looking at experienced older players like Maddison, Bentancur and Basuma. I mean, Basuma's 26, 27. Maddison's older. I mean, you've got to rely on them this season then to set an example to younger players. I mean, they dropped right off the pace. Sarr was our best midfielder last year.
Yeah.
And like and he's a kid, so it can be done. You doggy. Sloppy defensive displays in amongst the season, but looking good. Porro again looking good. I mean, no one faults our back five, yet we conceded all them goals, you know, and 14 from set pieces, you know. See, some fans just seem to have it in their heads that we constantly play a higher line, that we're constantly parked on a halfway line for 90 minutes. It couldn't be further from the truth. We didn't actually concede many goals from breakaways, probably about half a dozen, if anything. Others were like we dropped back into a mid block or a low block or whatever when you're naturally defending like teams do. And we conceded far too many goals. We also last season, what is a positive in another way, we must have missed more big chances than any team in the Premier League. If we'd have buried half of them, we'd be talking third, not fourth.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think of the amount of misses Werner had, right, and he's got this goal mouth phobia, he loves to, when he gets the ball on the left, he loves to cut across the goal. What a shot, you prat! Don't cut across the goal and make your go. What's the word got to score from? And he's like, because he thinks he's suddenly going to get past, the goal's going to open up, and he's going to roll it in the back of the empty net. It doesn't work like that. Goalkeepers aren't mugs. They'll push you wide deliberately, right? They'll take you wide. You know, have the shot earlier. Even Johnson, you know, 5 goals, 7 assists is not a bad return for a kid, but he was another one when the shutters come crashing down when you get in front of goal. And when you're blasting over the bar or to the side of a post from like 5 yards out, I mean, sorry, there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for that.
Yeah.
We miss a few, okay, bobbly pitch, whatever, and all that. You can excuse a few, but practice. You need to practice. It's not natural for them.
Adrian, when I'm in the stand, in the south stand, I'm in 252, right, which is the most focal area of Tottenham's south stand. There are crazy people in there. I've had my foot broken twice in there. That's how
I
crazy.
nearly went deaf when I was by you, Ellie.
Yeah, I'm lucky to come out alive. I'm telling you, I've had my laptop smashed by a fan who said a girl shouldn't be at football, yet alone filming at football. Right, so it's dangerous to go in there. But what I would say about youngsters, especially, right, they are winners. The ones that are in our academy at the moment, they're all winners. They know how to win. And they've been through adversity, like you said, Adrian, because they nearly got relegated. And they've had the balls to brush themselves down and come back with a vengeance and won 4 cups, I believe. Right. So there is football's combinations, right? So you've got a mixture of old and new, right? Like anything in life, right? You mix them and then you hope they click. Right, and in training you get those clicks as well, because certain players like other players more. You see it when they're coming into the training ground, right? When they're coming in for training, there's certain players that hang around each other, isn't there? And there's clicks that can be made with the young and the old, right? There's going to be combinations that'll work, and there'll be combinations that don't work. Like I liken Dele and Ericsson. Fantastic. Hoddle and Perryman, fantastic. You know, you get these little clicks in football and the whole team could cook because they feed off that, right? So I like to see the youngsters and I like to see the experience, right? So I think we can cook if we get it, the combinations, right? And I'm sure Postecoglou, he's won for the youngsters as well. We've seen it before, all right? So I think he likes to give everybody a chance, right? So let's see what he does, because I think these youngsters are special. They're not just young, they are special footballers, all right? Especially Mikey Moore and Alfie Devine and Dane Scarlett a lot, right? Okay, he hasn't cooked all of the time, but the boy you need game time to develop your game. Right, if you're sent out on loan and they don't give you game time, you're not going to develop your game. So all these things are important in football, and I'm sure Postecoglou's got his eye on it because he wants to be successful. He doesn't want to be leaving at December. Just put it that way. And if he's chopped in December, we're going to have to change the whole caboodle again, because a new manager probably won't have the same ideas as Postecoglou. So
you know it'll be.
I'm hoping that he survives, and I'm hoping that all the combinations that he puts together in that first 11, and very importantly, what the bench is going to do as well, because we're going to rely on the bench a lot with all the games coming up, because we only had 1 game a season last season. So let's see how we're going to fare. I just hope if we can win a trophy, that'll be lovely for the fans, because we've been starved of it, and like it'll make us all happy. And then we can build on that. Yeah, so I'm excited to see what Postecoglou's going to do. I just want the youngsters to get a chance as well, like everybody.
Yeah, I think we'll do. I'm hopeful going into the season. I'm always optimistic. I'm usually 3/4 glass full anyway, most of the time.
Yeah,
accused of being delusional. But I think the squad has improved in depth, if not necessarily in as much quality. And that improvement in depth will help us, because last season we had more injuries than any other team. We had 22. Right? So without those injuries, I'm confident we'd have got top 4. Now we've added some players. They might have just stabilised us more than improved us in certain areas, as people will question Graham Bergvall and others, right? But I'm hopeful going into the season. I want to move on to the pre-season friendly tomorrow. We've got one tomorrow in Japan against Vissel Kobe in Tokyo. It's 11 a.m. For those of you who've got Spurs play, you can watch it. I don't know if it's on other streams. I should be watching it.
It's free on YouTube.
Is it free on YouTube?
Yeah. Yeah, the J League are playing it. If you can find the stream, I don't know where it is, but there are reports coming out this evening that the J League or somebody is streaming it for free on YouTube.
Yeah, well, it's good PR for them in the game, isn't it? If they do that, so I can
Just type J League into YouTube, then
yeah,
Yeah.
should
and
come
then,
up.
and then after that, of course, that's tomorrow, and then on Wednesday, 31st of July at 12 noon, we play in Seoul. We play K League All Stars, so that'll be a President's 11 or whatever it is, and if Dragerson isn't available yesterday for tomorrow's game, he definitely will be available for that. I haven't got no news of when VDV or the others of Romero and that are coming back.
The week or so, at least.
Yeah. Then on the 3rd of August, before we fly on, we play Bayern Munich, and then a week later we play them at the Spurs Stadium, and then a week after that, it's all speeding up now. 17th.
Bayern Munich, they just won 14-1 yesterday.
Did they? Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
they haven't played us yet.
Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have, with regards to the transfer window, you would think that clubs with money will be making their moves this week and next week to at least have players in with 2 weeks to go before the season starts. Even though the transfer window goes on another 2 weeks, you don't want to be looking for players when the season starts like that. So we've got these dates coming up. I'll just a quick round robin on you on are we going to see more senior players in these games, or do you think, like I mentioned earlier, I think Alan to Mark Cook and Mother Mark that Ange might start showing his true colours of the 2 games against Bayern Munich?
So I think, and I'm kind of goes back to the last question. I'm very excited about the youth. I'm a big proponent of the youth. I think I loved it when Pochettino was invested heavily into trying to, work on the youth squad, and he wanted young players. And I think Ange probably wants young players, predominantly young players, which is why I think we're seeing so many coming in. We just need to pepper in some experience for those youngsters so they know who they can look up to the seasoned veterans, because they're going to need leadership. They're going to be all passion and heart, but they need leadership for cooler heads. And that's why I think someone like Ivan Toney will come in, someone that has the experience, someone they can look up to, and someone who I hope is willing to impart their wisdom onto the youth. And will have an immediate impact. I think we're going to see a lot of the youth because I think Ange, he's such a charismatic leader, and I think the youth will most likely be very captivated by him and his style of play. They have the energy to play the way he wants them to play, the constant running up and back, up and back, up and back. I think that it's harder for the veterans to do that. Hell, even, I watch Bayern play too, and you watch Harry Kane. Harry Kane likes to drop deep, but he's just not quick enough. And he's kind of, we saw with the England team, he wasn't up front enough. He was kind of always back for some reason. Whereas I think with Ange, an investment in the youth really does invest in the future. Which is why I don't think he's going to be going anywhere. I think we will have Ange for the long term, because this kind of investment in the youth is I know it's an unknown, but it's an investment in the long term future. And we're getting Mikey Moore is going to be as long as he stays fit, he's like a generational talent. And Will Lancashire, I think, will be the next Harry Kane. And, if he continues the way he's going, he's just a beast. Yang, who we just signed, is supposed to be very good. Someone mentioned, how amazing would it be if you had Will Lancashire and Yang as the next Harry Kane and Sonny pair. Jamie Donnelly's excellent. Hall is excellent. Who am I forgetting?
Abbott,
And
Abbott.
Bergvall, Abbott. We have such talent, and I think that's his project, because he keeps everything so close to the chest. We never really get a sense, and so all we have is to speculate. But I think this is probably his plan. Predominantly youth, peppered in with some, big experience. And I think that's why we haven't seen so many experience signings, because I think he's looking for someone who not only can play well, but lead well. And, is as a leader. I think he probably is. Is Tony a leader? I think, given the opportunity, I think he would be. I don't know if some of these other players like, Jimenez or I think he's looking for leaders in the experience, people who can come and make a difference for the youth, because the youth is where we're going to sustain success. Tony only has a couple more years. What is he, 29? Eze's 26. So he's kind of he's kind of hit the peak of his career. In a couple of years, you will say, oh, well, he's already kind of over the hill. Whereas Mikey Moore is only 16. We will have him a long time, and he could be the next Wayne Rooney kind of player,
To answer the question below the latecomers, the game yesterday, Spurs won 5-2. Mikey Moore scored 2. Will Lancashire scored 2. And Elogi Velez got the other goal, right? And long overdue goal from him, right?
Oh, finally.
Just for you latecomers, finally got a goal.
That's wonderful. Yeah, see, I do think he's going to be playing the youth, because I think they're going to be the majority of our team. I really do. So, Sonny's only got maybe a year or two left before he's pretty much done, unless he goes to Saudi or something like that. I don't see Sonny staying on for more than maybe another season or two. And who are our seasoned otherwise? Who really are our seasoned leaders? We don't really have too many of them. So we kind of need to, I think we need to invest in some seasoned leaders, which is why I think he was looking at someone like a Conor Gallagher, because I think Conor Gallagher's attitude is really good. As a player, I don't know if he's not the best. He's a very good player, but he's not the best. But I think he shows passion and drive that the youth can get behind. And I think he could be a leader of the youth. I think that's what most important, because our youth is going to be who we play in the coming seasons. It'll be the youth, which I'm very excited about.
It's always been, when people talk about leaders, because I'm more old school, right? Captains now, they're mainly PR merchants, basically. I'm not a believer in leaders as such. My argument has been with this Spurs team is lack of aggressive players. I kept banging on about it in other podcasts. When you used to get two players fight for the ball for a throw until the referee or linesman made the decision, when you get that sort of aggression on a player, I don't mind the odd yellow card and that, and yet people are moaning that Romero's a psychopath when he got a ban or got a couple of yellows. Not for me. I want to see that. Not all the time says it's reckless. I want to see that. And when they talk about leadership on the field, or getting a tune out of a player, why can't a player get a tune out of himself? He shouldn't be playing for us if he can't get a tune out of himself, right? This is my whole argument. Lack of aggression. Our squad even now lacks aggressive players. I mean, you can have a passive player who's quietly aggressive, goes about it in a different way, with conviction. But to me, like, our squad is probably like 3/4 passive players and about a quarter of them in there, if you're talking 25, 6, and some would say even less than that, they're actually aggressive. And then you're looking at like Richarlison, Bentancur, Romero, and then you're sort of VDV. He puts himself. You doggy can get stuck in there a bit, like, but you're struggling, and you need that. we need bite when things are going against us, and when we're flat track bullies in first 10 games of the season, slick passing and passing's on point, we murdered teams, right? But that's not going to happen. That only happened for 10 games, and then we start to fall away. Now we're struggling in field, and we're bringing on Skip, we're bringing on Højbjerg to try and shore it up. And although they've both done good jobs for us in the past, they're not the answer in midfield for us. We need to fix that midfield, and we need bite in there. We need a bit of bite in there. I think Archie Gray would give us that bite, actually, in there, personally. I do. If not,
you need to go, don't you?
If not, I would play Dragerson with VDV, and I'd play Romero as a number 6 if I had to. I really would, because he could do the job. He could do that job. But unfortunately, he's our quarterback, and everything goes through him at the back. You know,
someone needs to go, Adrian.
You haven't said that.
Yeah, I was about to say, I read the private chat. I think Soren's got a jump.
He's got a jump.
Coming on.
Yeah, it's bedtime, unfortunately. I've got work.
Lovely having you, Soren. We love the whiskey as well. We love the link.
Have you got a channel, Soren?
Sorry?
Have you got a channel?
No, not really. It's
channel whiskey.
Channel, so yeah, it's just channel. So, but one thing I will say before I do go, just real quickly on a few things that have been said. Look, the thing with Ange, where people are saying he's going to be gone by Christmas. This is the time, rather than speculating that he's going to go. For me, this is the time we need to be saying, no, we can't get rid of him. We've got to keep him, because there's no pressure from the board at the moment. The pressure is coming from the fan base, and I get why the pressure is coming, but this is the time now. As fans, we've either got to say, no, enough is enough. We keep this manager. We've got to see it through. We've got to give him the time. Or we say, no, get rid of him now. Because there's no point going through this transfer window and setting it up for him for the future and getting rid of him. To me, if we have another mediocre season, and I know it's, I'll get slated for this, I'd rather see that we back our manager for a change and we do this for the next season than just expect, we're not top 4, we're not going to win a trophy, let's get rid of him again. We've got to get behind him, and it's time. The future is so exciting for this club, and the problem is, because we've waited 23 years for excitement, we don't want to wait any longer. But now is the time. We've got to wait. And on that, I'm going to go, and I'm off to bed.
That lot down the road stuck with their manager. What are they called again, that lot down the road?
Exactly.
It's like when you're waiting for somebody like David Ginola to meet you in bed, and you get bloody someone like Danny DeVito.
What an analogy, Kelly. What's an analogy?
You get a Danny DeVito. Nothing against Danny DeVito, but he's no David Ginola. That's from a woman's perspective again. I know I'm bringing it down, the tone of the thing, but you know what I mean. You men are with us as well.
Right. We'll finish on the light. No, it still might take us about 20 minutes, but right. As us top 3 have done this, going to go to Mark Cook first. How did you become a Spurs fan, Mark?
All the family was Spurs. I was brought up in Waltham Cross near Enfield.
Near me, yeah.
Spent 25 years of my life there, and always been Spurs. I think the first game I went to was maybe 76, something like that. I remember us beating Bristol Rovers 9-0. I think it was 76. Colin Lee scored 4 or 5.
Yeah.
4, and Ian Moore scored 3.
That's it.
That was the year we were relegated.
Moore scored 3.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I remember that game very well.
I was at the last game of the First Division season when the year we got relegated.
Right, Alan, I'm always fascinated when people from different countries support our team. How did you become a Spurs fan?
Oh, you Spurs were in America.
Yeah. So yeah, they weren't. Everybody around me were either mostly Manchester United and Arsenal fans. And when I got into watching football, I was not interested in that. I don't like to swim with the current like that. So I was watching games, and then I saw very young Gareth Bell playing, and then I thought, wow, he's amazing. And and the rest of the team was there's some iconic players on that team back in, was it 2006, I think. And he was just, I followed him all, when he left Spurs, it broke my heart. But we knew he was going to go to Real. So really, it was
2012 or 2013. It's one of him or Mudridge left in those years,
Yeah. But seeing Modric and him and God, so many others that I miss that team.
Van der Vaart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Player. Fantastic.
Okay, now we come to the fun part. This section of the show, the last section, is called Spurs Empty Trophy Room, right? Now, we started this in the last podcast on Tuesday. I'll give you an idea, right? Who's in there, right? So, Jason Cundy's in the trophy room. I put him in there, right? I do not like this man. Right?
I'm going to put my foot on him while he's down now.
When Mark Cousins put Damas Gamona in here, he was the referee who gave the handball decision against Sissoko in the Champions League final. Right?
I got the shirt on tonight.
And then Brad Matthews put Antonio Rudiger in there from when he was at Chelsea because he was always mouthing us about us and all that. And then the EMF did the referee for, do you remember that horrendous offside decision against Jan Vertonghen when Spurs played Sunderland? He was a yard inside our half when he broke on the goal and he disallowed it. So now you can, right? You're allowed, because it will get harder as each podcast goes, to find us something. So we'll expand it, right? So guests can pick a single football-rated thing or object that you dislike and banish it to Spurs' empty trophy cabinet, a bit like Room 101, whoever used to watch that program. Examples, it could be a pundit, referee, manager, coach, player, or even a fashion item, a food item you hate, piece of technology, unnecessary gadget in society, celebrity, sports person. So, as I've given you
unnecessary gadget is Arsenal. They can bugger off.
I'll start while you give you a chance to think, to be fair, right? And I was thinking about this, I'll try to make it amusing. So I'm going to pick an item in society that has really pissed me off, because I've been a recipient of one of these and I've always looked at someone, stared at me in disbelief when they give me one. And what I'm talking about is gift vouchers, right? Gift vouchers. I hate them, right? I don't know how this social engineering and advertising work, but it definitely works because it makes mugs of all of us. Like, if you haven't got the latest gadget and everything, you're a lower class citizen or something. Gift vouchers. Just consider this, right? Someone gets perfectly good money. You can spend everywhere, anywhere you like. And they put in a gift voucher and they give it to you, and you can only spend it in one place. And it's usually Boots the chemist. I don't have people trying to tell me.
You know what I mean? Boots are getting a lot of business.
So to me, and I think these dudes are clever because people fall for it all the time. And why isn't it a beer voucher or an hour at the local brothel, or something like that? Something more useful, maybe a wine voucher or something like that, right? So I'm going to put, and I'll list these all the time for a laugh as we go through shows, and read them out, right? So I'm going to go for gift vouchers. Right. Who wants to go next? Go on then, Alan. Go on.
Well, I want to put Matty Cash in that trophy case for his tackle on Bentancur.
Sweet twat.
Good choice.
Yeah, give him a good old kicking while he goes down now.
Yeah, every time I see him now, I don't wish him well, so he's got to go in there.
Yeah.
I've got one for you, Adrian.
Go on, Mark. Go on.
I can't remember the referee's name.
Go on.
It was a long time ago. But do you remember that Pedro Mendes goal against Man United?
Yeah.
Sack him.
Okay.
He's got to go straight in there.
I'll find his name. I'll hunt him down.
It's about 2 yards over the line.
Clattenburg, I think. I think it was Clattenburg. I think.
Okay.
No, it was a long time before him.
It might have been.
No, it was a long time ago.
He was the one. Clattenburg was the one who allowed
later than
what's his name to score. when he just got it off the goalie and he scored. That was him. No, it was another guy. It was another referee. Do you know who it was, Adrian? Have you looked it up?
No, I can't.
My phone's died. So
the referee that always sticks in my mind is Alcock. Do you remember when Roy Keane and the Man United players charged at him at Alcock over a decision, about 3 or 4 of them? And I always wondered.
Doing it, Mark? Are you looking it up, Mark?
And then I thought, if he'd have stood there and let Roy Keane and co push him over, they'd all been we'd all been facing bans, you know. So like, yeah. So we got 3 good ones. So we got Matty Cash, we got gift vouchers. I'll find the referee because
Can I put one in, Adrian?
Of course you can.
Can I put Paul Merson in there?
Okay.
What a nutter. He just doesn't like Spurs. I can understand because he's an Arsenal man, right? But he's not fair, right? And he's always mouthing it off about Tottenham and, you know, making us look like idiots.
That's right. I've got Paul Merson / Spurs bias.
Paul Merson, stick him in there. Give him a boot as well.
Right, so, who are we missing?
No one.
Mark. No, you got Matty Cash. You got me with gift vouchers. Oh, hang on, I need to put the names by it.
Gift vouchers, I love that one.
Pedro Mendes was Mark Cook. Paul Merson was you, Ellie, wasn't it?
Yeah, Paul Merson, get him in now. Bloody twat.
Mr. Cousins.
Hang on.
He's going with the referee.
Linesman Rob Lewis. He was the linesman.
Yeah.
Right. He can go in there and all.
I'm still trying.
He's blind. He's a blind linesman. It was 2 foot in. It wasn't like 1 foot in. It was 2 foot in.
What year was it?
2005.
2000.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, me and Angela were jumping up and down thinking we beat Man United at last. And then he bloody disallowed the goal.
Mark Clattenburg.
It was Clattenburg.
Yeah, that's what I said. It was Mark Clattenburg, didn't I? Yeah,
I
and he done another.
He
was a Clattenburg. He made the right clacker.
Well, hang on, I got to think of something quickly now.
It was a draw, huh? An away draw.
Yeah, it was 0-0. It was 0-0.
Yep.
Pedro Mendes shot from the halfway line. The Man United goalie, basically caught it and it bounced out his hands and went. It nearly hit the back of the net. So, well, if you Google it and watch it,
yeah, he tried to claw it out. Right, it's like 2 foot in. And my brother,
more than that. It nearly hit the back of the net. It was that far in.
My brother Boo tried.
Way
Brother Boo tried to say, right, he was analysing Manchester United's pitch because there's a dip where you can't see where the linesman was from. But the referee, he was ahead, so he could see. But he decided not to give it because he's an arsehole.
I was dancing around the pub. I was watching that in a pub, and I was dancing around the pub because I had a bet with a Man United fan.
We rarely beat Man United or Liverpool, did we, in those years?
Yeah, I had a bet with a Man United fan, and when it went in, I was dancing around the bar, and suddenly it was 0-0.
Yeah.
And who am I going to put in there? Daniel Levy.
We disappointed. Okay, Mark.
He deserves to be permanently in there.
Well done.
Mark, Daniel Levy, D. Levy,
I thought you were going to put youngsters in there.
Have you got a reason for Daniel Levy, Mark?
But he's just done all he's interested in is the money. That's all he's interested in. Especially you two just next to me, you pay your money every week, and what do you get for your 75, 80 quid a game that you pay?
Yeah,
absolutely. If we have got the highest ticket prices, the highest season ticket prices, we got the highest everything, and if you're paying top buck,
true,
you expect top product.
Mark, you should get a seat next to Daniel Levy, kick him in now, and play Money, Money, Money by ABBA.
Well, put it this way: every time I go to the ground now, I will not go in number 8 bar because he owns it. Right, that used to be my favourite pub when I used to go, because it was the Bell and Air when I used to go in there. It was my favourite. I won't go in there anymore because he owns it.
No,
I normally frequent the bricklayers now.
Too crowded for me. I'd go in the Guild.
No, I love the bricklayers.
I like the Coach and Horses myself because there's a bloke in there who's an absolute nutter. He's the same age as us, Adrian, similar age. And he gets up on the table and he gets everybody going. And we forget about that we haven't won the trophy again.
Yeah. And sometimes I frequent the Bill Neck. That's not a bad that's not a bad place for a pint either.
Nice pictures up on the wall.
Because if you notice as well, if you go in the number 8 bar, it's more expensive than the rest of the bars right now. It's about £8 a pint in there.
And there's hardly any Spurs memorabilia in there. You know the corner pin when you used to go in there, which is the
Beaver Town now, isn't it?
Beaver
Yeah.
Town.
I won't go in there either.
About Spurs in there. When the corner pin, you go in there was everything. And players used to go in there as well and have a pint with all the fans. That doesn't happen anymore.
I certainly won't go in there because Levy owns that as well. Well, put it this way. Well, it's not very often I go now, but whenever I go, I will not spend a penny in the stadium. And if I get shirts now, it's certainly not from the club. There's other ways of getting them without putting money into the club.
You can get them from Chang, can't you? He's got enough. He's got a whole medley of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a lovely boy, Chang. He's such a good fan. That's another thing. We've got fans all over the world.
Yeah.
And it's lovely we've got fans in America like you, Alan. Fantastic. And
You've got the biggest growing fan base in America, Spurs have, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've got so many supporters clubs there. It's unreal that are registered.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Who was it?
Leo was in Denver as well.
Who was it that went out to New York? Oh, it was Nick, wasn't it? Nick Collison. He went to the New York Spurs, didn't he? Because he took his missus to Manhattan for a week.
A few of our fans have been over to America. You know, I think it's brilliant. And then there's Canada with Bobby Kay as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Toronto, Brian Daigle in Toronto.
Yeah. Ben Kaufman went over there as well.
Yeah, yeah. That's a place I'd like to go.
I'll definitely go and visit Bobby Kay. He's a hoot. He's a funny guy with his tissues. I won't go there. It's a bit rude.
Right, guys. We've been running for a long while. It's been a very good show. And as usual, we pride ourselves in being a mature and sensible podcast, even when we discuss the most controversial issues of the day, right? Yeah. I want to thank our guests from coming on. Mark's got the links. Brilliant. Mark, look, I hope you're feeling a lot better next time we meet, mate.
Yeah, I hope so too, Adrian. Thanks for having me on, Ellie.
You're more than welcome, mate.
Lovely to meet you all.
Feel better.
Hope we could do it again.
Yeah, brilliant.
Alan, a bit late on Friday, you know, just ribbing you.
It was wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
We get you back. You don't get away that easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We got a show on Sunday.
Have you got a channel? Have you got a channel, Alan? I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, he's got Team Tottenham Go. Yeah, put it in. I'll put it on the list I gave you, Mark. Team Tottenham Go or something. Is it, Alan? Is it Team Tottenham Go?
It is.
Go. Put it in the link for him.
I'm going to subscribe. I think I've subscribed already to one of your channels.
Yeah, Mark's my minder. He reminds me of everything I forget because I'm new to this presenting. So, he reminds me if I forget something. This is why I do run sheets.
There's about 400 channels on the list you gave me, Adrian. I got to find it now. No. Here it is.
Come on, then.
Copy.
Mod Mark is on the ball, you see. We're not going to put him in room 101. No. we've got Levy down now. We've got Mark Merson.
I won't bother typing anything, but there we go. If it's the wrong one.
Coming on again for co-hosting.
Thank you.
Thanks for being a co-host, Ellie.
Is that the right one?
I love it. And the next show, I'm getting there with my legs. My legs are like broken because I played football for so many years, got battered by girls. Who said girls are the weaker sex? They're wrong. My legs are proof of it.
And a big thank you and a big up to those in the chat and those watching us on playback. We hope you like the show. Subscribe, give the shows a thumbs up, and please comment because that helps the algorithm. If you could please comment, we'd be totally grateful to you. Right? Our shows are at the moment Tuesdays because we want to miss Monday night football when the season starts. So we'll shows on Tuesdays, regular shows. Fridays because we'll be playing Thursdays in Europa League. So we'll be able to do post-match shows on Europa League games. And also Sundays because we'll be playing Sundays now to win Europa League. So there'll either be pre-match or post-match shows on Sundays. And they're all at the moment at present, they're at 2000, 8 o'clock UK British Standard Time. The shows are, guys, for those you will watch. They're regular, so you'll know when to find us what time. We may, when Chang is not so busy with family life and work, be doing some morning shows. Me and Ellie will jump in and help him out because we're both virtually retired, so like we can do that. We've got the time to do it. So
I'm retired. I'm not virtually retired. I am
it's
retired.
fun.
I'm not working every
we'll be
day.
helping Chang out doing shows, which will probably be around the midday mark, around 12 noon UK time, or 1 UK time or 2, something like that. So the road, David, Mr. Shear, the road. Well, look, in this weather, we've actually had some warm weather in England. When I was a kid, English summer consisted of 3 days of sunshine followed by a thunderstorm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, it's been
But we've
bloody,
moved on. All this global
bloody
warming,
miserable,
I'm not knocking it. It saves on a heating bill, right? So, like,
It does. The electricity company and the gas companies are out of pocket.
Once again, I want to thank you all. We didn't get a chance to have a bit of fun with the brands. To give you an example of the brands, those that are still with us in the chat.
Yeah. Let's
If
have
a
look.
guest,
Let's
we
have a
won't
little-
do this all the time because we know you guys in the chest can.
I mentioned
the
Arsenal,
chat channel.
Adrian.
Did you? Well, if
Yeah,
you
I
mention
did.
Arsenal on this show, you get this.
Arsenal get battered everywhere they go. Arsenal get battered everywhere they go. Everywhere they go.
One, two, three.
If you mention Chelsea, you get this. And if you mention West Ham, you get this.
I think
But
West Ham
we can
hated
leave
more
you-
than Arsenal.
We should leave you with our wonderful victory tune after Spurs beat Liverpool 2-1 with that Matibone goal.
Come on,
And
then.
then I'll meet you guys
Listen.
in the back room.
Yeah.